This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted #1 talk radio show in Arizona.
#1 during your morning commute.
#1 whenever news breaks during your day.
And #1 whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It is Thursday, January 5th, 2023. This is the Monty Show presented by The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business, where you never pay a consultation fee and it's always free of charge to talk to an attorney at TheAdvocates.com. Just hit chat with an attorney 24/7, 365 at TheAdvocates.com. Are the Utah Jazz building back better? Is that a controversial, thing? Let's build back better. Do you like the way the Jazz are building? The Utah Jazz are big favorites in Houston tonight. NBA Power Rankings. Jake's in a crappy mood today.
Right. That's every day.
As we found out last night, he's incapable of reading in English.
Right.
He can only read in Portuguese.
Right.
I was unaware of this until last night. A lot to get to on the show today. It's an interesting mix of topics today, frankly. And I say that because, we're in this window in time where it should be really quiet right now. We should just be all chilling in the cut, waiting for the national championship of college football, and that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. I think one of the most fascinating stories in sports today is this Greg Berhalter U.S. men's national team story. However, you say it's not a story at all. You don't think people care about it.
I don't think that people care about U.S. soccer. I don't think people care about soccer in our country, which is why it's where it is as far as the sports landscape and as far as importance. It seems like every time a World Cup comes around, everybody and their brother wants to sing, "I believe that we will win." But then every other day for the next 4 years, we're not going to talk about soccer. You know what I mean? But that's our culture. Overseas, it's different, obviously. But our culture here, I really feel like we know soccer exists, obviously. We know it's a sport. We know Real Salt Lake plays soccer. But it's not something that is at the forefront. Yeah,
and if you don't know what we're talking about, Greg Berhalter, the former manager of the U.S. men's national team, the head coach, was not renewed. His contract expired December 31st after what I think everybody would call a successful World Cup tournament for the U.S. men's national team. And now we find out it's because a player's mother was upset with how her son was treated by Greg Berhalter. And so she went to the U.S. men's national team director and told him about a 1991 incident that involved Greg Berhalter, his then girlfriend, and domestic violence. And, it just smacks of sports parent guy, sports mom going way too far over the top.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is just...
And the other issue is I think that, for soccer, again, because of where it's at in the sports landscape in our country, it does kind of feel like we don't hear a lot about, the men's national team specifically, unless it's a World Cup or unless there's something dramatic happening, unless there's some sort of issue. And that's also a problem because they they deserve more attention than that, but that's just not our culture right now.
But again, here's the issue. This is domestic violence from 1991. From 1991. Mom got upset that her son wasn't playing in the tournament and that Berhalter didn't say nice things about Gio Reyna, the player.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went to the story goes that Greg Berhalter's girlfriend and Gio Reyna's mother were best friends in college. They played soccer together. This Gio Reyna's mom was married to Claudio Reyna, obviously the U.S. legend, one of Berhalter's best friends. It's incestuous. So in 1991, Gio Reyna's mom and Greg Berhalter's girlfriend at the time were roommates. Berhalter and his girlfriend go out and get hammered. They have a fight. He's 18 years old. It goes outside the bar, and he admitted that he kicked her. He kicked her leg. Now, Mrs. Reyna says that it was far more than that. And she knows this because she was best friends and roommates with Greg Berhalter's now wife, then girlfriend. Mm-hmm. The story goes, and it's been confirmed by the Berhalters, they split up for 7 months. Apparently, Greg Berhalter stopped drinking, went into counseling. They reconciled, and they have been married ever since. They have children together, and by all accounts, they have a very happy, normal, well-adjusted marriage. Right. Domestic violence has not been an issue since. Yet this woman, because she was upset about the way that her son was being treated by Berhalter, went to USA Soccer about a 1991 incident. Yeah. When I was in high school. I was graduating from high school. It just feels dirty. It feels, by the way, very different than Dana White from the UFC. And maybe this is the conversation because, again, I know a bunch of people got upset yesterday when I talked about this, but I don't ever condone domestic violence. And this thing with Dana White is on video smacking his wife in Mexico during the New Year's holiday. Dana White, the president of the UFC, was caught on video. And the video you see is Dana White's wife slapping him, and then he overhand slaps her, and she falls to the ground. They're in a club or a restaurant of some sort. Dana White went on TMZ, who also is the one that leaked the video. Dana White went on TMZ and said, yeah, it happened. That's me. I did it. And I'm sorry. Me and my wife have talked about it. We're working through it, and we've been together. We're best friends. It was a one-time incident. And I say, okay, that's cool, but you can't be the president of the UFC anymore.
Right.
You're not an 18-year-old kid drunk outside of a bar, which doesn't make it right.
Well, and what's one of the key differences? Dana's thing is on tape, and this other thing is not. Like, that's a very different thing.
It is.
You know what I mean? And I think that, while the soccer thing feels like, a mom was upset about her kid not getting enough run in the World Cup and how the coach talked about her kid without talking about him, right? Like, the Dana thing is very much a black and white thing. You're on tape hitting your wife and not hitting her softly. Yeah. Like, you hit her
it's an ugly
with force,
incident.
dude.
Yeah.
And to me, I we got all these comments yesterday about how, she hit him first and he was just self-defense. And I'm here to say that it doesn't matter if a woman hits you, dude. Like, there's a higher level of accountability with it.
But let's be honest. He's the president of the UFC. He is one of the most powerful men in sports. There comes a great deal of responsibility with that. The sad thing is the UFC has not said two words about it. ESPN, who is by far the most important partner the UFC has not said two words about it. And Dana White's going to be able to go on and do whatever he wants to do. Meantime, if you're a fighter in the UFC and you have a domestic violence issue, you're terminated. Why isn't Dana White terminated? That's my point.
Yeah.
Domestic violence is wholly unacceptable. Was his wife right for slapping Dana White? No, she was not. No, she was not. But she's not the president of the UFC and one of the most high-profile figures in sports like Dana White is. Dana White should be fired by the UFC, period. Dana White should not be allowed to be one of the most influential, well-paid men in combat sports because he battered his wife. And you're right. I think it matters that he's on tape. And the problem is we're willing to justify domestic violence because he's Dana White. And we're willing to justify domestic violence because his wife slapped him first. But I'm telling you, there's no justification for it. And what I'm telling you is Greg Berhalter and Dana White are two completely different situations. Greg Berhalter right now should be the manager of the U.S. men's national team. He's not because of something that happened when he was 18 years old. And Gio Reyna's mother, who's the one that reported Greg Berhalter, said, I forgave Greg Berhalter when he was 18. He should have forgiven my son.
Wow.
That's why she reported him. And to me, it's completely wrong. The whole thing sucks. Is Greg Berhalter innocent? He's not. He kicked it at the very least, to his words, and he admitted he kicked his then girlfriend in the leg when he was drunk outside a bar when he was 18. That's very different than being drunk in a bar on tape slapping your wife when you're Dana White. I think it's incredibly different.
Yeah.
And I think Dana White needs to be terminated by the UFC for this.
Well, and I think I totally agree. And I think the biggest problem, and we see this all the time in life and in sports and just in our reality, like there are different levels of like acceptability, right? There are different levels of like how we feel about it. So like the you can't treat the Berhalter thing when he's 18 the same as the Dana thing, but the problem is we're so used to domestic violence in the NFL that as sports fans we're cool with the Dana thing because it's Dana White and it's the UFC and it's Conor and it's all these stars, it's Habib and it's all these big mixed martial arts guys and what I'm saying is that I think at some point like we kind of have to have like this certain like groundwork, this certain benchmark of what's acceptable and what's not, and anything past that, then we have to talk about. So to me, I don't think that Dana White, it's not too strong to say he battered his wife in a public setting. Like that's what happened. Like I don't understand how people are comparing the Dana thing and the Greg Berhalter thing. It's just two completely different things. By the way, the other thing that needs to be said is Dana did this now, like at his current age. Yeah. I don't even know how old he is, like 50 or whatever he is. Like the Greg thing is when he was 18 outside a bar, you can't tell me that all of us wouldn't change one thing if we could all go back. And that's my biggest problem is that Dana broke the law. Dana made a huge mistake, something that should lose him his job. And this U.S. men's national team thing just feels like, dude, like he was 18 and drunk outside of a bar. Keep in mind, this was in the 90s when it happened, so our culture was completely different.
Yeah.
Right? Like the setting, the reality, our world, like everything was different. Yet we want to sit here and compare these two. And I just don't think there's any place for that. Now, as far as notoriety, the UFC has way more pull in this country, in my opinion, on a day-to-day basis than the men's national team. You want to talk about the women's national team? That's different. The men's national team, I feel like is not nearly as influential. So how that factors into their decision whether to keep him or not, I think is also fascinating as we move forward.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference here is that this whole U.S. men's national soccer thing sucks. Like it sucks that it's domestic violence, it's violence against women, it's alcohol abuse, it's violence in teenage relationships, which is a huge problem. Like, all of it sucks. But it also sucks that it's helicopter mom, because that's exactly what this is. And the worst part is it's helicopter parents, because Claudio Reyna was also involved in outing Greg Berhalter. He was texting the leadership of U.S. men's soccer during the World Cup because his son, Gio Reyna, was not being played. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Gio Reyna has admitted that he did a bunch of crazy things because he wasn't getting playing time. Like, he was completely a child about it. So he deserved, in my opinion, the treatment he got from Greg Berhalter. But the whole thing sucks. And again, I think this is mom and dad unhappy their kid's not the best player on the team, so they're going to take vengeance on the coach. Mm-hmm. And it happens all the time.
Facts.
And you can say whatever you want about how I was as a baseball dad. I was never that guy. Mm-hmm. I was never that guy. I never talked to a coach about playing time. I never bitched about this or that. Like, we just did not do that. At some point, we as parents have to stop crushing our kids and trying to build up these unbelievable, hey, you're a professional athlete dreams. Because some kids just are not professional athlete material.
Right.
And we as parents have to be okay with it. So I'm curious what you guys think about this. Is the Dana White thing different? And do you guys care about this Greg Berhalter thing? Because one of the conversations Jake and I had before the show is Jake's opinion is that nobody cares about men's soccer in this country. Mm-hmm. Right? Am I misquoting you?
I don't think you're misquoting me. I think a very small sector of the country gives a damn about U.S. men's soccer. Again, hear me clearly. The women's team, I think, is way more influential in our country than the men's team, because the women's team just dominates their competition, you know? And there are always going to be people. I remember, I think it was 2016 when we were in the crap hole radio station in Scottsdale, and Rapinoe was doing what Rapinoe did back then. everyone talking about, oh, well, they're playing women, so none of their accomplishments matter. And it's like you're always going to have that group of people when it comes to soccer. But what I'm saying is that I'm not saying that soccer is not important because it's soccer. What I'm saying is that soccer in our country is not important because we have like 50 other sports that are just more important. Like, people care more about the NFL, NHL. Like, I think you can make a good case that soccer could definitely compete with Major League Baseball in the day-to-day, because I don't think people start caring about baseball till the postseason because the season's just too long. I don't think people give a damn about the 1 o'clock game in Cleveland against the Marlins. You know what I mean? Like,
and see, I'm totally opposite of that. I'm a passionate soccer fan. I am. I get it. I'm the only one in my house that cares about it.
Where do you think that started, though? Because that's what's fascinating to me when we talk about this. Like, where your fandom initiated from.
Oh, I know exactly where it initiated from. Working at Fox Sports back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I had access to the Premier League. I used to go in. There was a small group of guys at Fox Sports who would go sit in this certain control room and watch Premier League soccer. And that's where my fandom started. I can tell you my soccer fandom started all the way back in Chicago as a kid. There was a guy named Karl-Heinz Granitza who played for the Chicago Sting way back in the day. And then at Fox, it just absolutely, my Premier League fandom exploded again because I had access to it on a weekly basis. And when I worked at Sporting News Radio, my guy Raj Groves was a big soccer fan, and him and I used to watch games together in the control room. Like, that's where it started. And the women's national team was absolutely them winning the World Cup at the Rose Bowl, like the Show Your Sports Bra, Brandy Chastain, like,
right.
All of those moments just continue to fuel that. But I've been a Premier League fan since 1998. I have been a soccer fan since I was a kid, and I care deeply about the U.S. men's national team. I'm passionate about it. I know who Claudio Reyna is. I know who Gio Reyna is. Like, and the funny thing is, we're so different. You didn't have any idea who Gio Reyna is.
Yeah, I'm not. And this is kind of the conversation I want to have, because I do a sports show every day. I'm, going to be 30 next year. Like, I don't follow men's soccer, like specifically the U.S. men's national team, until the World Cup comes around. It's just not something I'm interested in. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it. It's not my thing. That doesn't mean that I'm sitting here saying soccer sucks or it shouldn't be watched. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, for me, it's not my go-to. My go-to is the NBA, and when I have time, which is not often, the NHL. I really enjoy watching hockey. I do. So that's like right now, this time of year, that's what I'm looking at. Obviously the NFL, right? But that's on Sundays. It's a little different. That's not like a daily thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not sitting here saying soccer sucks, and I don't want to get comments saying that I'm saying that, because I'm not. What I'm saying, though, is that in our country, soccer is not at the forefront because there are many other sports. In Europe, soccer is the thing, with all due respect to rugby and cricket and tennis and some of their other sports, and even golf, right? Soccer is the sport, and then it's everything else. So it's just a different dynamic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I think, Real Salt Lake's a perfect example. I think they have a small but mighty fan base. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about it much on this show because it just doesn't appeal to the masses. And I am frankly not a fan of MLS soccer. I go to matches. I enjoy watching Real Salt Lake in person, and I watch quite a bit on TV, or I used to, because I will not watch on Apple TV. If David James is not calling the game, I'm not watching. But again, to your point,
right? How
important can MLS be when it's on Apple TV?
Well, and again, I think that's another piece of the conversation. I think, before we get away from what you just said, because I think it's a great point, MLS specifically is not enjoyable on TV, but it's a hell of a good time in person, which is another issue, right? Like, let's be honest about Americans, right? Like, in the big picture, Americans like to sit home on their couch and watch entertaining TV product. That's what we like to do, generally speaking, right? I know people who are not TV people, but in the sporting world, that's what we like to do. So when MLS feels like, with all due respect, it feels very slow. It feels unimaginative. It feels just kind of not even being tongue-in-cheek. It does feel like they're out there just kind of kicking it around.
It feels like practice for the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
And
it's
I don't
slow.
want to sound like an a-hole about it, but that is what it feels like. Like, I can get down with, when I come over on the weekends and you're watching Premier League, I can get down with that. Even if it's Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, I can get down with it, right? It doesn't have to be Chelsea and City. Like, it could be a run-of-the-mill match, but I can watch it. That doesn't make me some soccer evangelist or huge fan. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I also think one of the things that's really interesting, though, is the one match that Mrs. Monty and I went to for Real this summer. I think we ran into 3-4 of our listeners. Like, I mean, Neville 93. I mean, that's the first place I met him. And he sent me a DM. He's like, "Hey, I'd love to get a picture." Like, "Hey, Monty, like it was." A lot of our listeners are soccer fans. Yeah. I get that. But I don't know that means we should talk about soccer on the regular. In fact, I think it means we shouldn't.
Well, and I think the language thing is another small tidbit of this conversation. It's a match instead of a game. It's a pitch instead of a field, right? It's 0-0 instead of 0-0, right? Like, that's another thing that I think turns some people off about soccer.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. I also don't want to get too far away from this domestic violence thing because I think it's a big story right now. Here we are again as men talking about sports. Significant figures in the sports world are involved in domestic violence, again with Dana White, the president of the UFC, and Greg Berhalter, the former U.S. men's national team coach, no longer, and he didn't get renewed because Gio Reyna's mom told on him for a 1991 incident with his girlfriend when he was 18 years old. But these domestic violence incidents are huge, and both guys are wrong for it. I think Dana White should be terminated by the UFC. And you know what? I don't know what to do with this Greg Berhalter thing. I truly do not. It was 30 years ago. Greg Berhalter and I happen to be the same age. He's 49. He was 18 when this happened. He was drunk outside of a bar arguing with his girlfriend. And the allegation is he admits to kicking her in the leg. Mm-hmm. Yet Ms. Reyna says, who again at the time was roommates and best friends with Greg Berhalter's now wife, says that the incident was far worse than that. I don't know what you do with that. The police were never involved in it. There was never anything criminal. There was no prosecutions. Frankly, it was probably covered up and never reported to the authorities. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't, in my mind, it makes no difference. The difference is it happened 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. The difference is, by all accounts, Greg Berhalter has gone through the process. The difference is that they were trying to essentially blackmail Greg Berhalter with those allegations to get Gio Reyna on the field more. His mom and dad were essentially threatening Greg Berhalter with telling on him, if you don't play my son more. He didn't play their son more. Then he dragged him after the tournament in an interview, and so they went and tattled on him.
Right.
I don't know what to make of that. I don't know. I know for certain I feel like Dana White should be terminated for what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 53-year-old man drunk in a bar, and he slapped his wife, and it does not matter that she hit him first. It's meaningless to me. It's meaningless. Both of them are wrong. Frankly, if they were in the United States, they both had been charged with domestic battery. They would have been. But they were in Mexico, so they weren't. It doesn't make it right. So where do you guys come down on that? I know it's kind of an odd storyline today, and the reason we're leading with it is because we were arguing about it before the show. Jake's like, it doesn't matter. Greg Berhalter's essentially is a jerk. Why? You asked me last night, why does everybody hate Berhalter? I'm like, nobody hates Berhalter. He just led the U.S. men's national team back to the World Cup, got them into the knockouts, and now all this comes out.
Yeah.
I don't think people hate Greg Berhalter.
Yeah,
I truly
but what
do
I
not.
do think is that people, and I'm happy to sit here and I'll take the criticism. I'm not well versed on U.S. men's national team. I'm not putting effort, constantly
I don't think you deserve criticism for that.
Well,
it just is what it is.
But I think, our argument was about, hey, like, you think that Greg is I thought that Greg Berhalter was hated by everybody because of this story. And that's not true. He's not hated by everybody. It's about everything we've just explained. I don't need to repeat it. We've said it like 4 times. But the point is that I struggle to connect with soccer. I do. When it's the World Cup, you get it. Like it is unquestioned the importance of it. I even enjoy the process of the World Cup and all the different matches and country. Like it's almost like the Olympics of soccer, right? Like you get that global feel, and that's really cool to experience and be part of, and like really talk about and watch, right? Like, but at the same time, as soon as that's done, like as soon as the World Cup is over, my want to in soccer gets really light because I'm not connected to Chelsea. I'm not connected to City. I'm not even connected to our national team. So it's hard for me to get into it. Now, I can get down with, if you want to talk about the entertainment value of in-person soccer, I'm here for that. Like, I love that. Like, I think soccer matches in person are incredible. The energy that we felt when we went to Chelsea, Liverpool at Anfield was incredible, right? Like, I haven't been to a Real game, but obviously you guys have, and you said it was awesome, which is no surprise. So that's what I'm saying. It's difficult for me because we sit here and I get tired of talking about NFL football or college football because we talk about it so much, right? Like we literally talk about it every single day.
Right.
But you understand why. It's football. Like it's our country. It is like you understand the importance of football in our country, so you get it. This soccer thing, I'm struggling with it because I'm like, dude, like, great. Like it's Greg Berhalter. Yes, he brought them back to the World Cup. But it's helicopter parenting. It's everything you don't want to be talking about soccer for.
I also think is a big part of this story. Soccer parents are terrible. Soccer parents are terrible. I amongst the many, I think soccer and hockey parents are some of the worst. I think that baseball mom and dad are some of the worst, but there's no doubt that soccer mom is probably the worst.
But I also think the entitlement of the kid, of Gio was entitled as hell. He was like, his initial thing was, oh, well, I'm not playing, so I'm going to go and freak out and do a bunch of crazy stuff. Because you're entitled.
Yeah.
You're entitled, Zach Wilson. Time to swallow the humble pill, right? Like that, we've seen that play out. And it's funny now you're not hearing from Lisa Wilson as much, are you? So you see how it works out. But the difference is that it's the NFL, right? It doesn't feel like we're playing some little sport. It is the National Football League. So Lisa's not going to go and do that.
All right, let's get your comments in here. Kurt Myers, first one in this morning, says, good morning. What's up, Tanner? Says, morning, gents. And now I have to wake up at 5:15 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays to catch the train to Salt Lake. It sucks, but I guess I'm getting up at 5 a.m. isn't really early for you guys.
No, we're working already, bro. We've been working already.
We're already here at 5. We're already here. Maury, what's up with you? KJ, how the heck are you? Top of the morning, fellas. Great question. But who to build around right now? I feel like it's the finisher 23. We'll talk Jazz coming up here in about 10 minutes on the show because I think it is a really important question. Is the Jazz head for Houston tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Are the Jazz rebuilding in the right way? What are the different ways to rebuild an NBA team? Because I think if you look at Houston, their route was completely different than what the Jazz are doing. So we'll talk about that coming up on the show. Maury Alvarez says, build back better is not controversial if make Jazz great again isn't controversial.
That's funny.
Majazza, is that? Okay. Connor Tulin says, Monty in the morning. Indeed, Connor, good to see you. SA says, woke mom's gone wild. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Sports mom's not good. D-Rock, how the heck are you? Good morning, everyone. Sounds like helicopter parents all over the place. Pied Piper says, I'd be happy to see Dana go. I think Dana White's the guy that people don't like. I think Dana White is, when you want to talk about guys that are known as a-holes, Dana White's an a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he in my opinion, he's the only reason that the UFC and MMA are where they are.
Yeah, I just think Dana's cold-blooded in all aspects. Like, I think it's why, like, nobody... And I guess maybe it's not proper to say, but like when you're cold-blooded as a dude, you probably have an adverse reaction to your wife hitting you while you're drunk and under the influence, right? Whereas like someone who is a nice guy, who is a people person, like who is out in the community constantly, maybe would have handled it a little bit differently. But that's why I think people don't like Dana, because he is an a-hole. He does treat John Jones Bones differently than he treats, Connor or these other guys. Like, it just is what it is,
But he puts up with Bones Jones running from the cops, drug dealing or drug using.
Yeah.
He puts up with again, I love Conor McGregor as a fighter. I would never have him on my roster because he almost killed somebody throwing a barrier through a bus window. He's getting into fights in bars. Like, he puts up with that, fines and suspends them, and he slaps his wife on video and nothing's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
That's why people are pissed about it. D-Rock says, agree with the Dana situation. The mom situation's very different. That's the odd thing. Like, my first instinct on Dana White was he needs to be fired. And after reading about it, listening to his comments, I feel even more convicted he needs to be terminated by the UFC.
Right.
Greg Berhalter doesn't feel that way to me. He's already out of a job. He is not the U.S. men's national team coach any longer. They hired a law firm to do an investigation. He's not coming back. I'd be really surprised if he came back. But the other question here is now what happens to Gio Reyna? How does Gio Reyna wind up on the team? You can't tell me that the Reyna family's not damaged by this. And I believe Claudio and the Mrs. Reyna are divorced now, by the way. But Claudio Reyna, the legendary U.S. soccer player, is now in management with Austin FC. Like, is this not a bad look for his kid? This has to be a bad look for his kid. Mm-hmm. This is a terrible look for his kid. Brad Turner, good morning. He says, I agree, president has to be held accountable. A hopefully mature man representing an organization versus a 20-something NFL player. Well, very different. Tanner says, soccer moms are insane. However, that doesn't excuse what happened. It does not.
But my problem is that it doesn't excuse kicking your, wife or then girlfriend or whatever. But like, my problem is it's not on tape and it's all hearsay. So we're going to sit here and say, well, like she's saying, like Mrs. Rain is saying, oh, well, Greg is downplaying it. It was way worse. And I know that because I was roommates with his wife. But why are we taking her word over Greg's, who said, yeah, I did that and it did happen. And then, I, like you were saying earlier, like, I had to go into counseling and do all this stuff, self-improvement work. Like I did all that. And
they were separated. And again, the story is, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Greg Berhalter, the former U.S. men's national team coach, who took the team back to the World Cup, got them through the group stage into the knockout round, and did not play a kid named Gio Reyna enough, according to his parents. And as a result of that, Gio Reyna's mother went to USA Soccer during the post-tournament glow because Greg Berhalter did an interview where he was asked about the team, and he said one player in particular, never mentioned Gio Reyna by name, but everybody knew who he was talking about, and said one player, was immature and didn't handle himself off the field very well, and we almost sent him home. And so you get this stuff, and so the mom then gets upset her son got dragged through the mud, tells USA Soccer about this, but it turns out that Claudio Reyna was texting leadership at USA Soccer during the tournament and was threatening Greg Berhalter during the tournament, allegedly, to out him as a domestic abuser if he didn't play Gio Reyna more. Mm-hmm. And now all of this has come to light. And how did it come to light? Greg Berhalter went public with it and said, you know what, here's what's happening. They were blackmailing me to play their son more. They were going to release this information. Well, here's what happened. And he released a statement. He said, here's exactly what happened. So that's exactly how it went down. Tanner says, I care about U.S. men's soccer. Pied Piper says, millions of people here care about men's team. Skinny Dick Nick, good morning. He says, didn't Jay Kidd get involved with domestic violence? Now he's a head coach. He did. And Jason Kidd has many accusations. He's had drinking issues, and he is the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're exactly right. Louis Capazzo, good morning. He says, I care more about curling than soccer. As for Dana, he was wrong, and I'm sure that was not his first time. And that's the tough part. And by the way, Louis works in law enforcement, so I'm sure you know this through your experience. But usually the first time it comes out is not the first time it happened. That's the thing with Dana.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Dana. D-Rock says indoor soccer is great. I love indoor soccer. The Chicago Sting as a kid, nothing better than that. YouTube search the Chicago Sting, and you'll see amazing stuff. Luis Capazzo says, man, that would have been like what it would be like to be 30 again. Can you even imagine? To wind the clock back 20 years. Tanner says, I went to Peru in 2013, experienced soccer culture for the first time and loved it. When I came back to the States, I discovered that we had some sort of soccer culture, and that was RSL. Right, there you go. Salty Drunk says, if you want to know how big soccer is in the UK, you need to watch a movie called Green Street Hooligans. Yeah, the hooligan culture in the UK is ridiculous. Mark Hale says, how good are two hacks when they are on YouTube and not on the radio? I kid.
Hey, man.
And he was saying that because we said, well, you know, how much interest can there be in MLS if it's on Apple TV? I think it's a huge mistake.
Well, and the thing is, like, Apple TV just is not the juggernaut in video streaming that YouTube is. Like, YouTube's whole existence for the last decade has been streaming and video content, and Apple TV is just forced. It just is a money buy.
Yeah.
So it's totally different.
Mark also says, as an attorney that works in domestic violence every day, I need more than chat comments to be involved in this conversation. What do you mean by that? Kanai says, I believe that's called blackmail if that's the case. Yeah, they were trying to hold him up.
Well, and that's why I think it's brilliant he went public with it. I mean, he because you can't forget his contract was up with the team anyway.
Yeah,
so,
his contract expired December 31st with U.S. Men's Soccer.
So why wouldn't you go public? What do you have to lose?
Yeah. The whole thing sucks. The whole thing absolutely sucks. Q Sam, what's up? He says, my fandom for soccer started with Pep Guardiola, Barcelona in 2009. Yeah.
There you go.
I hate City, which is why I hate Pep Guardiola. This is the first time he's been caught slapping her. I doubt he'd have the gall to do it public unless he's done it previously in private, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I hope that's wrong. I hope that's the first, last, and only time we ever, that's ever happened in the Whites' marriage. But I don't want to talk about other people's marriage. Brandon Butler says, I'm a season ticket holder to RSL and a supporter club member. I think once or twice a week segment would be appreciated. It's hard to get real news on the team. It is. It is very difficult. But it's no. I'm not doing the media thing.
But and I'm being serious here. I'm not even being an a-hole about it. Spence talks about RSL all the time.
Daily.
So what is the, like, and I'm being serious. I'm seriously asking you this, like, what is the issue? Because we obviously, we don't talk about it almost ever, but other people do. So is it just that you're not enjoying what he's saying, or that you want a different opinion on it, or just explain it a bit, I guess.
I think the hard part is that you're never going to get the truth about RSL from ESPN 700.
Well,
they're broadcast partners. Bill Riley's the voice on the radio. Like, you're never going to get that. Kurt Meyer says, my first memories of soccer was the movie with Pele and Sylvester Stallone. Pele laid to rest this week, by the way, in Brazil. Ryan says, soccer's nice for sliced oranges at halftime. Yeah, those were the days. Yeah, I guess I also played soccer in high school. So, Skinny Dick Nick says, I don't think Bridges should ever get an NBA contract again. He'd be a hypocrite if I didn't have the same view for Dana. Bridges.
Well, Miles Bridges.
Oh, yeah, well, we saw Miles Bridges sitting courtside with the Hornets in Los Angeles. He's going to be there.
Yeah.
And Miles Bridges, his domestic violence incident was horrendous, if you believe what's in the media.
Yeah.
I mean, really bad. Tim Bruckmiller says, let's hit the like button. Yes, please. By the way, you can now be a member on our channel. Mm-hmm. We rolled out memberships yesterday for $10 a month. You get exclusive video content that is only for members, and you also get access to an Instagram group where we'll talk sports. We'll put daily videos in there. Like, we do a lot of stuff offline. So we decided to start a membership tier. So for $10 a month, you subscribe on YouTube and you get exclusive member video content. You get exclusive access to us 24 hours a day. So make sure you go to our YouTube channel and sign up. You can also get a link on my Twitter feed, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show. There's a direct link to our membership, which you were quite excited about yesterday.
Yeah, really excited about it. I think that we do a lot offline, and there is a lot of opportunities for it. And it's, like I'll be straight up with you guys. Like the people who are in these groups are going to get, they're going to get advance notice on promotions. They're going to be ahead of the game.
Breaking news, all of our inside information,
like everything. So to me, it's well worth your money, if you will. And I think that, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We did I think it was in like November or more like October before we went on the Hawaii trip. We did the Casuals Getting Cut group, and we kind of piloted this a little bit. And that was a huge success, and we had a lot of fun with it, and we got to know people a little bit better who listen to the show. So I would tell you, go to the Monty Show on Twitter, find the link, or just go to our YouTube channel, and you'll see the join button. So check it out.
Look it up. All right, couple more on this. Football 50 in 7 minutes. Arlington Bears, who, by the way, you notice the logo next to his name because he is the very first member of our little exclusive club.
Yep.
Arlington Bears right there. Appreciate you. Chris Karn has been a longtime supporter of this show. So, Chris, I appreciate you listening to the show. Chris is a guy that I've gotten to know a little bit offline. Was the first guy to sign up for a membership. So I really appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. Obviously, the other guy, Greg Hawkins, was our second member, and Lopes fan Gabe was our third member. So we really appreciate that. Lopes fan Gabe says, Monty, as a kid, the Sting games and DePaul basketball at Rosemont Horizon was the best. Oh, man, Rosemont Horizon.
Yeah.
Oh, Rosemont Horizon. The Chicago Wolves at Rosemont Horizon. I saw so many concerts at Rosemont Horizon. I haven't thought about that building. Brandon Butler says Spence is on the station that is run by the team. He is.
Yeah,
exactly
and it's
right.
fine. I totally respect why you would have an issue with that. I get that completely. Yeah.
Brad Turner asks a really relevant question. How do you guys get over flopping in soccer? I played until high school and never got to a level where it was a thing. Too much power to decide game drawing fouls in a box. It is frustrating. It is frustrating. There's no doubt about that. But you're seeing it in all sports now. And the problem is, the reason guys do it is because it makes the official blow the whistle. And you know what? The way that the Premier League tried to legislate that was by a foul called simulation. It was a yellow card. Where if they felt like you were faking or embellishing, they gave you a yellow card for what they call simulation. I don't know how you legislate it out of the game because it happens in the NBA all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's at a point where we need to stop talking about legislating it out and start talking about like the fact that it's a strategy. Like we're at that point with it now.
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Let's see. Kanai says, hey guys, can you show the Jazz organization how to do that also? Seriously. Lewis says everyone should hit the like button first thing so they don't forget when they get here. Yeah, it really makes a difference when you guys hit the like button. And what that does is you hit the like button and it essentially tells YouTube, hey, this is a good show. Tell more people to watch it, is essentially what happens. So it really does help us. Appreciate that, Lewis. Brandon Butler says 700 is about as real as RSL as the zone is on the Jazz. Yeah, you're never going to get critical comments about RSL on 700.
I'm with you, Brandon. And that's why I wanted to give you the chance to kind of explain that. And if it's as simple as that, that's fine. I respect that 100%. And frankly, that's been our brand on the show, which is I'm assuming that's why you're still here. I think the tough part is that RSL is such a niche thing.
Yes.
It's a very... I'm not trying to, knock it down, but the reality of our world is that RSL is a niche product. It is small. Like MLS is small, and then you're talking about a sect within that. Like that, just to put that into perspective.
And the issue also is, by the way, that they don't do much as far as like player movement. Like this has been a very quiet offseason for RSL. And Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz, is a minority owner of RSL, and I don't think it's really had much of an impact. So, yeah, it's hard to attach to something where there's not much more going on. Salty Drunk says, will this membership include Jake's relationship or lack of whatever the case may be? So Jake is, man, I don't even know.
The best.
Jake is the best.
Yeah, we all know that.
He is the best.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there can be relationship. I mean, the Instagram group, the videos are going to be sports and life.
Yeah.
And I mean, because I think the biggest request we get on this show is to do more motivational stuff, to do more life stuff, to do more, hey, here we are snowboarding. Hey, here's this thing I'm working on. Like, there's a lot of that. But I mean, our bread and butter in these groups is always going to be, hey, this just like when there's, like one of the things we're going to do is when there's a Jazz game, we're going to be in that Instagram group talking about the Jazz game as it's going on. We're going to be, when there's a BYU game, we're going to be talking about BYU or Utah, or like those are the things that you get when you join our membership. We interact with you 24/7. I mean, it's the best part about this show, frankly, is we've built a sports talk community in Salt Lake City and in the state of Utah. It's fantastic. I mean, really from St. George all the way up to Logan, like Park City, like Tooele. I mean, everywhere in this state that you talk about sports, we have listeners. So that's one of the best parts about being on this show and hosting this show is that we get to talk about that stuff. So Robert Lambert says, Jake is the best. Finally, some truth.
I'm trying, bro. Trying.
Try harder.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
It's not what you try to do.
Yeah. Okay. Don't be a cock.
No one's going to disrespect me.
Football 50 in 2 minutes. Yeah, it's been a bad offseason for RSL. It has been. No doubt about that. Let's see. Whoa, my bad. Pied Piper says, I would love even 10 minutes of soccer talk a day or a week. Okay.
Join the group. We'll give you some soccer talk.
Let's see. Well, look at that. Maury Alvarez became a YouTube member.
Hey,
let's go.
Let's go, Maury.
Look at that. See, like you
go.
get a symbol next to your name. Like it's super easy.
That's sick. It pops up in the chat.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. I really, it's exciting to see you guys joining the show like that. It's exciting to see you guys supporting the show.
The other cool thing with this whole group thing that we're talking about this morning is it allows you guys to place requests as well. Like you could say, hey, what do you think about Kevin McCarthy failing 6 times? What do you think about, you can ask us about things that we wouldn't normally talk about.
How about
on
people
the show.
tweeting at me yesterday and DMing me about the House Speaker situation? Like, that's what's fun about this show.
Yeah.
And we talk about all that stuff. So, Maury, we'll put you in the YouTube exclusive group. On Instagram, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Robert Lambert says, I don't give a damn about soccer.
And that's fine.
That is fine.
That's fine. And that's kind of my point.
Yeah, but you do give a damn about pizza, and that's why Football 50, 10 of the hour, every hour is presented by our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more. To become a member on this show, all you have to do is click join. And it lets you sign up. There's a direct link on my Twitter feed as well, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show. Hey, want to play this bite from Zach Taylor? Did you guys see this yesterday? I thought this Demar Hamlin situation obviously has continued to evolve, but Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, who obviously, as you know, it was Bengals and Bills on Monday night in Cincinnati. We saw Zach Taylor talking to the coach of the Bills. And everybody wondered what they were talking about. Well, you don't have to wonder anymore.
When I got over there, the first thing he said was, I need to be at the hospital tomorrow, and I shouldn't be coaching this game. And so that, to me, provides all the clarity, because there was no unprecedented is the word that gets thrown out a lot about this situation, because that's what it is. But in that moment, he really showed who he was, that all his focus was just on Demar and being there for him, being there for his family at the hospital. And at that point, I think everything trended in the direction it needed to trend. And
man, that's crazy. That Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Bills, was like, dude, I need to be at the hospital. I have no business coaching this game. I mean, right there, that's when the decision was made. We're not going to continue this game. And I think it was absolutely the right decision. But the conversations behind the scenes that we don't get access to, that's the stuff that's gold.
Yeah.
And just hearing him talk about the emotions and all the things that went into that situation, crazy. Hearing him talk about, there's part of that tape where he talks about the ambulance pulling off the field, and I mean it's really, when you hear that, what are your thoughts on that?
I just think it's just very raw. It's very real. It's very like, hey, we have our perspective. What Zach did a great job of there was explaining the fact that, hey, I'm on the field. We walked across the field to go and talk to the other team's head coach and kind of work together to figure out what exactly we're going to do, because that word unprecedented is spot on. It's unprecedented.
Never
what
happened before,
dude. And so that's what I thought he did a great job of. And it really hits home for me that, hey, this is these people's jobs. This is no different than this happening in an office or in another workplace setting. We view it as a football game. They view it as their office.
Yeah.
And that, I think, brings a big perspective to the whole conversation.
Yep, totally agree. I just thought it was really well done by Zach Taylor. Total class. Absolute total class. How about the Pro Football Hall of Fame announced its finalists yesterday, and the obvious choices on that list were Joe Thomas, absolutely a Hall of Famer.
100%.
One of the best offensive
100%.
linemen ever. Darrelle Revis, I think, is absolutely a Hall of Famer. One of the best corners ever. Dwight Freeney, one of the best sackmen ever. Absolutely. The one guy, obviously, I want to talk about is Devin Hester of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Because he is also a finalist amongst many others. Devin Hester belongs in the Hall of Fame. He is the single greatest. I think he is the single greatest special teams player in the history of the NFL. And I look at Devin Hester and the way he impacted games, whether it was in the Super Bowl against the Colts or on the week-to-week, his kick return, punt return game absolutely changed the NFL when he was playing. I think he's absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I think you don't have to say anything more than, hey, he is the single greatest returner there's ever been. That's it. That's what the Hall of Fame is about. You are the best or in the group of the best at what your given position was. So when you're looking at names like Dwight Freeney or any of the other names on the list here, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I just don't think it's in dispute.
Darren Woodson, probably best known as a Cowboys safety. Is he a Hall of Famer? I think borderline. I don't know that he gets in.
Yeah.
Patrick Willis, 49er linebacker. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the best linebackers that the league's had. I think that Patrick Willis, unfortunately, his career came to an end playing Seattle when he tore his knee ligaments. But I think before that, he was absolutely the best linebacker in the league when he played.
I think it's close. I think a lot of people view him as a guy that quit, and I think that makes it difficult. I think that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
yeah.
But I look at the other guy on this list I think is really interesting is Rondé Barber, the corner. Obviously, a lot of people know that, Tampa Bay Buck won the Super Bowl. I think there's a lot of borderline guys. I think Jared Allen, a defensive end of Minnesota Vikings, I think he's a borderline guy. Rondé Barber, Torrey Holt, the wide receiver for the Rams, the greatest show on turf. I actually think Torrey Holt's in the Hall of Fame, but he did nothing outside of the St. Louis Rams, LA Rams. I think he's borderline, but I think he gets in. Andre Johnson, clearly one of the best wide receivers of his generation.
Yeah.
I think he's borderline. Zach Thomas. I think Zach Thomas is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I think Zach Thomas is one of the best linebackers in the history of the NFL. That's what makes these NFL conversations so compelling, is that I think it's so close. Most of these guys are so close. I do not believe that there is a conversation to be had about Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, or Dwight Freeney.
No, they're all Hall of Famers.
And I obviously I'm probably biased because I'm a Chicago Bears fan, but I think Devin Hester should be in. There's no doubt about that.
I got to be honest. I don't think you're alone on that. I think that most people regard Devin Hester is at a minimum one of the best ever to return kicks and punts. But I think a lot of people agree with you. He is the best ever, and that's why I say I think dude is in. I don't even think it's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, Kenai Johnson brings me to one of the more interesting points. Have you guys heard about this T. Higgins situation? T. Higgins is the wide receiver that hit or was involved in the tackle that wound up with Demar Hamlin in the hospital.
Right.
And there is one particular talk show host at ESPN that is coming out and blaming T. Higgins for the incident with Demar Hamlin, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. T. Higgins feels responsible for what happened. And if you listen to the medical experts and follow the science, this is a freak occurrence that happened. T. Higgins, if you didn't see the play that led to this Hamlin thing, T. Higgins was being tackled by Hamlin. They came together. T. Higgins' shoulder goes into the chest of Demar Hamlin. It happened at the exact right moment, at the exact right place on Hamlin's chest to interrupt the electricity that flows through your heart to keep it beating. It's a freak injury. This had nothing to do with anything that T. Higgins did. It was a freak football play. It wasn't even that violent of a play.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, it does illustrate a couple of things. One, life is really fragile. No doubt about that. Two, even the most basic play in football is violent.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a really pretty normal play. And it's not T. Higgins' fault. And I wish we would stop blaming T. Higgins for this. And I say we. I wish certain people would stop blaming T. Higgins for this because I just don't think it's right.
Yeah, and I think it's gaslighting to blame him. I think you know it's a freak accident and you're still doing it, and that's what's troubling.
Yeah, and by the way, the update is that there's not really much of an update. We should be getting more information on Hamlin today. Demar showed signs Tuesday night into Wednesday morning of cognitive function and of recovery. We got no update yesterday. You know, the family friend, his marketing representative, who's a very close friend of his, told CNN and ESPN, who are both there on scene, that there are big signs of improvement. And they've talked a lot about, the road ahead. The road ahead is long and it is winding in this guy's recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very difficult. This was just a freak accident.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Kendall Dean says Demar's injury, from what I've heard, could have happened if he was wrestling. It isn't due to football. I'm confused. The football haters will kill the sport over some freak accident. It was a freak accident.
Yeah.
What people don't know is there is, if you look at a heartbeat on a chart, like if you look at an EKG and there's a bouncing, the bouncing line.
Right.
There is a point in your heartbeat where if you take a significant impact to the chest, it will stop your heart. It will cause cardiac arrest. Chris Pronger, the hockey player, got hit in the chest with a slap shot. The exact same thing happened. So there's no fault. It just happened.
And it kind of puts into perspective just how insane like the things we do are. Like it's so normalized. It's so like, oh, he's just playing football. But the very act of playing football is dangerous. The very act of playing any contact sport is dangerous.
You're putting your life on the line every time you step on the football field.
And I feel like before the Demar thing happened, that was just it's kind of like what Ryan Clark said, right? Oh, I'm willing to die for this. Or, you're putting your life
We're going to war.
Like, we all kind of, you knew what that meant, but you weren't like, well, you're not literally going to die today.
And we're not quite literally going to war.
Well, it turns out you quite literally are going to war. And that's what's kind of scary.
Yeah. It is not something to be trifled with. It truly is not. Football 50, 10 to the hour, every hour on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Papa Murphy's presents How to Change the Way You Pizza. Step 1, carefully knead dough. Step 2, artfully spread sauce. Step 3, add fresh mozzarella and assemble toppings. Step 4, realize we already did all that for you, so all you have to do is bake it. Right now, get the chicken garlic pizza with chicken, Roma tomatoes, and creamy garlic sauce for just $9.99. Papa Murphy's, change the way you pizza.
Papa Murphy's Pizza presents Football at 50, 10 of the hour, every hour on the Monty Show. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. 7:02 on the Monty Show, presented by The Advocates. Find them online at theadvocates.com. Make sure you check out our new membership for everybody who's new to the show. I see a bunch of people came online this morning now. Hey, we're offering memberships, $9.99 a month. Get you exclusive video content on a daily basis, as well as entry into our exclusive member-only Instagram group, where we will be doing things like talking Jazz basketball with the Jazz and the Houston Rockets tonight. We'll be, chatting with you guys during the game in the Instagram group. And all you have to do is join the membership right here on our YouTube channel. People are telling me that they're having trouble seeing the join button on the mobile app. I'll look at that after the show, but you can go to my Twitter feed, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show on Twitter, and I will retweet that right now with my big ugly face on there. You'll be able to see the retweet of the direct link. You guys can pretty easily, by the way, as of course I'm looking at my Twitter feed, and do I have it right here in front of me? There it is. Okay, I can retweet that. But yeah, you can go right to my Twitter feed and get that, and you can join right off of that tweet on Twitter. The Monty Show on Twitter, MONTY, The Monty Show. We really appreciate the way that you guys support the show. It is obviously it's something that we put a lot of time and effort into. We care a lot about this show, and you guys support us, and it is obviously it's quite humbling the way that you guys support us.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you now the value of it now and into the future is that you're going to get more interaction with us in that Instagram group that you get as part of this membership. But I think moving forward, the thing to consider is that like we're working on a merch line, right? When that merch line comes out, the people that are in this group are going to get access to it before anybody else gets access to it. When we do giveaways, those people are going to know about those giveaways before we announce it on the show, so they get a chance to get in before anybody else gets in, right? Like, you're going to get more access to everything involved in the show. So that's why I say, I know it's a financial thing. I know it's $10 a month, but it is well worth your money because you're going to get way more stuff from us. And by the way, and I think this could be the most valuable thing to you, just my opinion, maybe you view it differently, but you can request like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, could you give me some advice on that? Or like, you know what I mean? So like there's that personal level of service on it. So that's what's really exciting about it.
Yep. And of course, one of the major perks you get on this show is that when you're a member, we read your comments first. So Lopes fan Gabe says, hit the like button, you casuals. Thank you for being a member, Lopes fan. Arlington Bears, as you see there highlighted, Hester is the GOAT. He is the best returner ever.
Agreed.
No, Darren Sproles is not. I shouldn't even put that on the screen.
It's offensive.
Darren Sproles is not the GOAT. Devin Hester is the GOAT. Thank you very much. Let's see. Blood of DePanta says, salute to the panel, the chat, the mods. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go. Getting a glimpse of how Jake used to sell his Yelp ads now.
Nah, my Yelp ads are much more aggressive than this.
There you go. By the way, Keith Carl says, hit the like button twice, once for me and once for the ghost. Thank you. I appreciate that. Give us a like, hit the thumbs up button. It really helps the channel grow. Let's talk some NBA hoop, my friends. Your Utah Jazz are on the road in Houston tonight. Look at that number there, -6, 232. Look at the money line number, -250 on the Utah Jazz. The boys in Vegas think this is going to be a comfortable win for the Jazz, but it also offers a really interesting comparison. What's the right way to build in the NBA? Is it to do what the Utah Jazz are doing and restructure your salary cap, keep veterans on the roster, and try to accumulate draft assets that you can then trade to build? Or do you do what the Houston Rockets do? Trade everything, burn this thing to the ground, get a bunch of draft capital, and play with 17-year-olds for 3 years and hope for the best? It's a big question, and in my mind, I think rebuilding the way the Jazz are rebuilding is the right way to go, because I think it gets you back to a championship much more quickly, and I think it gives your fans something to hang on to. But Jake, where are you? Are the Jazz the right way to do it, or are the Rockets the right way to do it?
Yeah, I think there's a proven route to success with rebuilding, and I think it's the way the Jazz are doing it, which is Danny Ainge is obviously going to make some significant trades, but you're not making those trades with the intent of just burning it down. You're making those trades with the intent of getting your salary cap right so you can go and make more moves and have more flexibility. My problem with the way that teams like the Rockets are doing it is you're just burning it down to burn it down. You're just burning it down so that you can have more money to play with, but you don't know the direction you want to go to. I view burning it down differently than what the Jazz did. Burning it down is just let's trade everybody and just start over. But we don't have direction. We don't have, a sense of strategy. We don't have any sort of end goal, really. It's easy to say, like, if you're the Rockets, it's easy to say, well, our end goal is to win a championship. You're not winning a championship anytime soon. And the reason you're not winning a championship anytime soon is because you don't have that vision and strategy and direction. So to me, this is very clear. I think the Jazz and the way they're going about it is proper. The frustrating thing and why we talk about the Jazz so much on the show right now is because they are capable of winning. Like both of these teams tonight, what's funny is they both lost their last 5 games. The problem is with the Jazz, we're surprised by that because the way they're losing these games is very fixable. It's correctable.
Yes.
That's the hard part, is that the way the Jazz are rebuilding is much more clinical, much more proper to me, because you have the way you're going about it is allowing you to be in these games. It's not just lucky that you happen to beat this one team or that team. It's not just lucky that you lost to this team or that team. You lost because you turned it over and you're playing bad basketball, not because you're a bad team. Just like that's the difference. Whereas the Rockets lose because they're a bunch of 17-year-olds that just aren't ready to win.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. I think when you look at this Jazz team, I think there's a lot to hang on to with this Jazz team. I actually think there's a lot to be excited about with this Jazz team. I think the question is, how invested is Ryan Smith? And I know we've talked about this in the past, but I think it's a really salient point right now and a really big question if you're a Jazz fan. How much confidence do you have that Ryan Smith is going to lead this franchise to a championship? Because I think there are a lot of questions about that. One of the topics that we talked about on the show yesterday is what is the bar for sports in this town? And I'm curious if you as a Jazz fan believe that winning a championship for the Utah Jazz is within reach. Because I do. I think the Jazz will compete for a championship in the next 3 to 5 seasons. I think this upcoming trade deadline in just about a month here is massively important. I think they have to do big business, and sources around the league continue to tell me that the Jazz are busy. They are on the phone, and I think they will do business here. But the question is, what is your level of confidence that this Jazz organization is willing to go out and do what has to be done to win a championship?
Yeah.
And I don't know how confident people are. I really don't.
Yeah, I think people would be more confident if Ryan Smith was regularly out in public talking. I think people would feel more safe and more reassured that things were going the right way if Ryan Smith would simply make a statement once a month. Instead of doing it at a media dais, why don't you do it at why don't you and this is the thing with England and Europe and Premier League teams and things like that. There are certain sects of that sport where you get leadership out in the community, meeting people and talking to people. And there's a relatability factor that I think is really necessary. And yesterday on the show, we talked about this, expectation things and do people treat Salt Lake like a major market, even though it's not, which they should be doing. And the problem is that Ryan Smith does own the Jazz. He does own RSL. And I'm not sitting here saying he's doing a bad job. That's not really the conversation we're having. We're having a conversation about what could you be doing better? How much further could you push the envelope with what you have to work with now? And my belief is you could push the envelope quite a bit further. I just don't think they're prioritizing the fan experience outside of the physical game, which is what really matters, which is why, not to go right back to the membership thing we were just talking about, but that was the reason I wanted and we wanted on the show to start doing memberships, because we want to serve you guys because you've been supporting us just the same way the Jazz and BYU and Utah and all of our teams here really should reach out and try to support you and give you more value when you're not watching the show or the game or whatever it is. So that's my struggle with leadership in this town is I feel like Ryan Smith could do a lot more, and he's just not. And again, I'm not sitting here insinuating the guy's just sitting around on his couch drinking a cup of coffee, not doing anything. I respect the fact that the guy is, a billionaire who owns multiple organizations and is really busy. But what I don't buy is that you don't have 5 minutes to spend with media relations putting out a video on Twitter saying, "Hey, Jazz fans, it's Ryan Smith. I'm literally just in my office and wanted to say hey today."
Yep.
That's not hard to do.
Hey, big shout out to Salty Drunk. He's now a member of the Monty Show channel. Appreciate that.
Let's go,
he
dude.
has exclusive access to video content and our Instagram group. Appreciate that.
You, man. Thank you.
Sean Carden says if Quinn Snyder coached the Rockets or Magic, they could become great teams because of their athletes. This is a really interesting comment here. Because I think one of the biggest moves that Ryan Smith, Danny Ainge, that this group made was moving on from Quinn Snyder. I think that was a huge move for this team, and I think Will Hardy's the right guy. But I've been surprised that a lot of Jazz fans are wondering if Will Hardy is a good coach. I think Will Hardy's done a pretty good job with this team, but you knew there were going to be growing pains with Will Hardy. Is this Jazz team better with Will Hardy or with Quinn Snyder? I don't think there's any doubt they're better with Will Hardy. There's no doubt about that. That doesn't mean that Quinn Snyder doesn't have a place in the league or that Quinn Snyder did a bad job for this team, because he didn't. But they needed to move on from Quinn. And I think Will Hardy's the right guy, because you're going to be bad for 2-3 years, right? I think we all realize that.
Yeah.
You're going to be bad.
Well, that was the game plan.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with hiring a young coach who's going to make mistakes. He has made mistakes, in my opinion, but you're not going to see those mistakes repeated over and over again. And I think that's why Will Hardy's the right guy at the right time for this club. Will he be the head coach when they win a championship? I don't know. That's to be determined. Maybe, maybe not. But right now, I think Will Hardy's the right guy.
I think it's unfair to compare Will and Quinn, because I think, one, success for Quinn was very clear. Get to the Western Conference Finals. That was success. Anything short of that is not successful. Don't care what your regular season record was, right? But success for Will Hardy looks very different, and I think this is why people are asking the question if he's a good head coach, because success really is not, hey, get to this juncture of the season or get to this team achievement, right? That's not success this year. This year's success is develop guys. Well, what does that look like? That's an opinionated thing, right? Like, we can sit here and say, well, Colin Sexton is developing, and then maybe he thinks he's not, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a cloudy thing for Will right now. That's why I think you got to have patience with it.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, how about that? Nameless Ghoul 911.
Welcome.
Is our newest member. Make sure you DM us. By the way, as you become a member, DM The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show on Instagram, and we will put you into the exclusive members-only group. Appreciate that, Nameless School. Richard McDonald says, Smith definitely has deep enough pockets. I guess we'll find out how willing to dig into them he is. The black jerseys are dog S. Okay, so they're actually the only ones I like. And it'll be interesting. Austin Napierski's going to the Jazz game with us next week.
Yeah.
And one of the things you'll get, by the way, when you become a member of the channel is you're going to find out about our promotions first. But Austin Napierski won the Jazz promotion where we take him +1 to the Jazz game against Donnie and the Cavs. I'm interested to see what Austin Napierski's going to do.
Yeah.
Is Austin going to get a jersey, a sweatshirt? What's he going to get? We're going to buy him something in the team store. It'll be interesting to see what he gets.
Yeah.
Richard, thanks for the $10 tip. Appreciate that. Eric in Raleigh says Quinn Snyder did the very best with the talent he had. They just had the Warriors in their way. Well,
I think there's something to that, but I think that that's a great point, Eric. I think that locally people had a lot of emotion around Donovan and Rudy and Quinn and that dynamic. And I think that at the end, because of what happened, people lose sight of what this team was in their prime. And I think that's a shame. But
yes,
I think it's the natural occurrence of how sports goes. When you get heartbroken in sports, you don't give a damn that you know, you don't care about, you know, Donovan Mitchell doing this or Rudy Gobert doing that, or you don't care about a 60-win season or whatever they had when they were the #1 seed. You know, like, you don't care about any of that.
That's right. Yep.
All you care about is, our team sucks now. Now what? Now I got to wait till football season? Is that what you're telling me? That's the problem.
Man. Kenai Johnson did us all dirty. He brought up the name Ty Corbin. Whoever don't like Will Hardy is the fan that wants Ty Corbin back as head coach. Can I? Let's not go overboard.
Savage.
Let's not go overboard, because I think we all are well aware nobody wants Ty Corbin to be the head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants Ty Corbin to be the head coach. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. All of our Jazz talk on this show presented by Quick Quack Car Wash. Make sure you go and hook it up at Quick Quack. You know it's supposed to rain and snow this afternoon. No problem. Quick Quack Car Wash has you in and out in 5 minutes. I go to the one in South Jordan at the District, and as I always tell you, I love that I don't have to talk to a machine. I do. Jake is a big fan of the self-checkout. I am not. Self-checkout is dumb.
Self-checkout's different than a car wash, though, and that's why we love Quick Quack, because you get a person when you're sitting in your car. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves in life, whether I'm at Quick Quack or, I'm in a parking garage or whatever.
A parking garage is the best.
Like, one of my biggest pet peeves is you got to, when you're going to a Jazz game, right? You're going to a Jazz game, and we all know that garage that's got, like, the 10-foot curb that you're worried about while you're trying to pull up to the little kiosk and you're reaching for your life. You don't have to do that at Quick Quack. You roll up. They ask you for your name, or they take your plate. They know your name, and you're good to go. Like, it's
and
just
the guy
easy.
always says, "Hey, Monty, how are you?"
Yeah,
he doesn't know who I am.
Yeah,
but because he puts my license plate in there and has my name in there, he hands me. They give you a free dashboard wipe. Like, it's great. Bring the kids too, because there's a bunch of colors and lights and stuff. Quick Quack Car Wash presents all of our Utah Jazz talk on the Monty Show. No to that dirty name. Louis Capazzo says exactly right. Exactly right. Can I, man, don't ever bring up that name again. Do not.
I'm going to get medieval on your ass.
And let's be honest, though. Ty was a good dude. Ty is a nice dude. Ty's a nice guy. Ty Corbin's a good...
He was a fill-in for the guy who replaced the guy who replaced the guy. That's what Ty was.
Totes. I totally agree with that. Josh Lovering, good morning. He says, Will Hardy is a quality coach. Is Will a yes man, though? Well, he could be. He absolutely could be.
Right now he is.
And you kind of need him to be, because... Again, maybe Ochai Agbaji is the best example of this. Maybe Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the best example of this. You need to be able to go to Will Hardy and say, hey, we need to get Ochai more minutes. We need to really understand where he is and where he can go. Does he need more G League time? That's the biggest question. Because what I can tell you is, if Will Hardy doesn't want to play Ochai Agbaji, it's a problem.
Yeah.
If Will Hardy doesn't want to give Walker Kessler more minutes, it's a problem.
Well, and I think the cool thing with Will is you see what he wants to do, and then he just goes and does it. Like, I think it was really smart by him. Like, take the Nickeil Alexander-Walker thing, the NAW and THT situation for minutes distribution.
Yes.
NAW just came in and took those minutes, right? And the source of that was Will giving NAW extra minutes for one game, right? One game got NAW all these extra minutes now. And he's cooled off a little bit, and he's no longer everyone's, sliced bread, if you will, but he's still getting good minute distribution. And now it's up to Agbaji to do that same kind of thing. The problem is for whatever reason, Agbaji just is not making the three at the NBA level, which is fascinating to me because it is the same game. It's just faster. That's it. Like, the game moves faster. And to me, I think he's just adjusting to that. The line doesn't move, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference.
Are you surprised that Talon Horton-Tucker has not played a single minute? And I'm going back through his game log. I don't see that he's played a game since December 22nd.
Yeah, it's a long time, dude.
Are you surprised that he has fallen so quickly out of favor, THT?
On some level, but also not so much. Like, on some level, yes, because he can shoot it a little bit. He's got a good body. Like, he can do some things. The problem is he shoots it too much, right? He doesn't have a good grip on when he should play within the set or when he needs to create, because that's his strength. He can create for himself.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble on this team. Like the Jordan Clarksons, even NAW, even sometimes Mike. Like, these guys got to find that balance of when to create for themselves and when to run the set.
Yes, I agree. Salty Drunk, who's a member of this channel now, thank you, sir. Didn't the front office have problems with Quinn on minutes distribution? They did.
Yeah, they did.
Your guy Joe Ingles was one of those guys.
Yeah, they were pissed he wasn't playing Joe enough.
Yeah.
And I think that
Absolutely.
I think, this conversation around, is Will Hardy a yes man? He needs to be a yes man, whether he wants to be or not, because he and Danny Ainge are buddy-buddy. And I guarantee you, Danny said, hey, if you're going to take this job, this is, you're going to have to be a yes man here on some level.
And I think the Joe Ingles minutes thing, I mean, you were playing him too much. Now you're not playing him enough. Like, it became uncomfortable. So I agree with that. Maury Alvarez, who's also a member, thank you for that. Ty Corbin was a good player, loved him, but a horrible coach.
Yeah.
Ty Corbin's a DePaul Blue Devil. Blue Demon?
Demon.
Blue Demon. He went to DePaul in Chicago. That's my guy, but not as a coach. He's a great assistant. He is a great assistant.
Yep. And that's okay. I hate when we're like, oh, well, dude is only capable of being a great assistant, as if that's not a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is a great skill.
Yep, I agree. Richard McDonald says, how do I join? I'm late today. Again, not to be Mr. Sales guy.
No, do it. Yeah, do it.
But there is the join link right there.
So,
I just put it in the comment.
2 minutes on this. YouTube is working on renovating the mobile app that a lot of you guys watch on. And so right now with the membership thing that we're talking about today, there's not a join button on the mobile app if you're watching,
which is where everybody watches this show.
And YouTube knows that, right? So like YouTube is working on adding that, but it's not there right now. So you can find the link in the chat. He's just put it in there, or you can just go to his Twitter, The Monty Show. And that's where I would recommend you go. That's probably the easiest if you have any trouble with that link, which I don't think you should, but if you do, just go to his Twitter, and it's right at the top there.
Totally agree. BB says, Rudy gave minutes over young guys. Will Hardy, come on. Well, and I actually don't disagree with this at all, BB. I think you're exactly right. I think it's very difficult to continue to watch Rudy Gay take minutes on this team. And it doesn't matter who you want to play. Give somebody else Rudy Gay's minutes, because he's got value. He just doesn't have value to a rebuilding team. Rudy Gay needs to be the 10-11 guy on a Milwaukee Buck team. He needs to be the 10-11 guy on a Brooklyn team. Go somewhere where they need a little bit of offense and not a whole lot of defense, because he just is not a guy, in my opinion, that can defend at a high level right now, but he can defend the 4-5 a little bit. And his highest value to me is as a spot-up three-point shooter. That's what he does well. I don't want him dribbling a whole lot, even though I know the other day he dropped what's his name from the Heat in the corner there, hit that jumper. Like, that's all well and good, but the turnovers, it's just not. He's not a fit. Rudy Gay's not a fit on this team.
A lot of shots that are gimmies.
Yeah, he's not a great fit.
Yeah.
Pied Piper, join the membership. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Remember, for the Instagram group, you need to DM us because Instagram and YouTube aren't connected. So there's a lot of you joining. Please DM us on Instagram so we can add you after the show.
Yeah, and the details are, hey, if you're a member on our show, if you subscribe to our membership, it's $10 a month. You're going to get exclusive video content every day. We make a video just for our members, and then we're going to have a Instagram group that we already have, by the way. And again, shout out to Arlington Bears. He was the first member of the show. He was the first member of that group. But that group is together, and we're going to chat. Like during the Jazz game tonight, we'll be chatting in that group with you guys about Jazz basketball. Ken Scott, the former Utah alum, is on the show in an hour from now talking Utah football in the direction of the program. We'll chat about that stuff. Like, you'll always get access to things first. You'll always get access to our insider information.
When we do giveaways.
What giveaways? You'll be the first one to have access to merch. So, yeah, absolutely. Join. Appreciate you doing that. Also, Richard McDonald, thank you. He is also now a member of our little YouTube community. Appreciate you doing that. Salty Drunk says Rudy Gay needs to be Blake Griffin. He does.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think Blake did a great job of sort of, transforming himself into that, firecracker off the bench. And I think it elongated his career for sure.
Yep. Chase Everett says, if tanking is part of the strategy, now is the time to experiment with lineups. Tanking's such an interesting word, because as we talk Utah Jazz basketball on the Monty Show, I just don't know. Tanking in its traditional form is not what this team is doing. I mean, you don't tank and lose games by 2 points.
Right.
You do what San Antonio did last night, which is just not inbound the ball and turn it over.
No.
That's what you do when you're tanking. You play all of your young guys. You don't play Rudy Gay minutes when you're tanking. This team's clearly not tanking in the traditional I'm tanking mode, right? I think what you're seeing, though, is I don't think it's the end of the world when this team loses a game. And I think it's really interesting that when you look at these things and you start to understand where this Jazz team is, I think there's a lot of opportunity for this team.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of, do you want this team to make the playoffs or not? But let's be really clear on one thing. They're not in the hunt from a win-loss perspective for Victor Wembanyama. Probably not for Scoot Henderson. Like, you want those guys, you're going to have to trade up to get them. Mm-hmm. The problem is their draft assets are not great. If we're truth-telling on this show, And you know that's what we say. Hey, the Monty Show is the truth in Salt Lake sports talk. If we're truth-telling on this show, their draft assets are not great. I don't know that their draft assets alone would move them up into position to draft Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, it almost feels like the draft asset situation or conversation very much feels like, hey, you have a lot of draft assets, and that's what's going to be the value, not so much that those draft assets are like the best thing we've ever seen in the draft. You know, like that I think is the difference that's kind of come to light. And that's why I say, like, when we were talking earlier about like rebuilding paths, like the way the Jazz are doing it, or the way the Rockets are doing it, or even like the way the Brooklyn Nets did it, right?
Yeah.
Acquiring all this talent, it's very clear. The teams that do it quickly and do it properly are rare, but when they do it, it's very successful. And that's why I say, as a Jazz fan, don't hold or hinge on win-loss. That's not what That's not what you should be doing. What you should be doing is hinge on comments like BB had, or some of these other guys have had about, hey, like, why are we playing Rudy Gay over young guys? Those are the wins or losses within these games right now.
Yeah, totally agree. And I am a Nickeil Alexander-Walker fan. I want to see more. I want to see more from him. I want to see more from Ochai. I want to see more from Walker Kessler. I think we're watching almost on a minute-to-minute basis Walker Kessler become a better player. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I want to see more from him for sure. Luis Capazzo says, all those slivers from riding the pine has got to hurt. Someone get THT a pair of tweezers and a mirror. He needs them both. Ooh, cold-blooded, bro. But I don't disagree.
Got a quick, not to sidetrack the show. In our Instagram group, because I just want to keep talking about this, Chris Karn has graduated from watching us on a phone to watching us on this new TV he just bought.
Really?
Yeah. So now he's on the new TV. So
I like it.
And he's hung it on the wall, and he's got his little sound bar.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty slick, dude.
I like it.
Nice
Way to
work.
go, Chris Karn.
Nice work, dude.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I love guys that watch us on TV. That's phenomenal. Appreciate that. Let's see. Richard McDonald says, if y'all here every day, buy super chats or memberships. These boys need support, or we will eventually won't be able to do this with each other. Great little community going here. It's not a matter of join the membership because we're desperate.
Yeah.
What it is it buys time. That's what it does. And we're looking for ways to be more interactive. I think one of the wins on this show, not to be arrogant about it, but one of the wins on the show is we're constantly talking with you guys. We tweet with you. We Instagram with you. We talk with you on the show. Like, the show is over, and then it just keeps on going.
Yeah.
Because we're talking to you guys. We're like a 365 community here. Like, it's every day. Like, that's what this is about. And yeah, I appreciate that, Richard. Thank you for the support. Chase Average says, yeah, Instagram is all part of the metaverse, not the Google umbrella. Yeah, it is absolutely.
We really considered that too. It's funny you bring that up, because we literally had that conversation yesterday about, like, well, great, we're asking our listeners and our viewers to pay for something, right? Which we haven't done really before. I mean, we've done some light merch stuff.
We've really tried to stay away from it.
Yeah, we've tried to stay away from asking you guys to pay for stuff, but we felt like, hey, if we're going to ask you to pay for something, we want to make sure that we bring as much value as we can possibly bring. And so, to Richard's comment there and to what you said, like, it's not necessarily that we need the money per se, but if we're going to, what allows us to bring you more of that content and more of that interaction and more of that behind the scenes personal time is time. Right? So that is the trade-off, and that's essentially what you're paying for, is time and more interaction and more personalized stuff. And I know I keep saying this, knowing about the giveaways in the future is a big deal, because you are going to have to get into those giveaways. The earlier you're in, the better chance you're going to have.
And members always get 5-to-1 entries. So
that too.
If you're not a member, you get one entry. If you're a member of the show, you get 5 entries. So you have 5 times more chance to win a weekend at spring training with us than you do somebody who's not a member. Things like that.
Yeah. That's
why you become a member. All right, talking Jazz basketball. Jazz. By the way, is anybody surprised that the Jazz are a 6-point favorite and the money line is minus 250?
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a barn burner tonight. I think the 232 number, in my opinion, is a little light. I think this is like 120, 118. This is like low 120s to high teens kind of game. And the 232 number kind of suggests that 117-ish area where I feel like one of these two teams, and it could be the Rockets. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm, just over the moon confident about the Jazz in this game, but I do think one of these teams is going to crack like 120, 125.
But when's the last time the Jazz were this awful on the money line? Like, you have to bet $250 to win $100. Like, who's doing that?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. The line on the game tonight tells you, let's see. Eric and Raleigh says, when are you guys going to expand the network and new shows to follow your show? Oh, God, why did you bring this up? Take over the Salt Lake City market. Jake absolutely rides me about this on a regular basis. Yeah. We talk about it all the time.
I think, I have no problem talking about it a little bit. Like, I think that's in the cards for sure. It's funny you bring that up. I think the conundrum is that if we're going to add somebody or we're going to bring someone into the fold, the quality can't go down and the feel of it can't change too much.
Well,
and that's what we're hesitant on.
The X and O's is we've built a really strong algorithm with YouTube.
Yeah.
We have if you search Utah Jazz, you're going to see 1,000 of our videos. If you search BYU football, BYU, Utah football, like, you're going to see the Monty Show.
Amazon deal.
You're going to see the Monty Show. We've built a really strong algorithm because you guys do a great job supporting the show. You click the like button, which is a huge part of that. That's why we're constantly telling you, hey, give us a thumbs up, please. When you look at how long our average watch time is through the roof, man, like, people watch this show for 20 to 25 minutes a day. That stuff makes a huge difference. If you bring in a new show and you put them on your YouTube channel and people watch for 3 minutes and they don't hit the like button, it absolutely tanks the entire channel.
Yeah.
So it's something that you really have to calculate. You have to be really careful. Anton says, I'm not familiar with what that -6,232 means. So what that means is, and it's always next to the favorites team. So let me put this banner back up here. What this graphic right here means is, and read it from left to right with me, Utah Jazz -6. They're a 6-point favorite. 232.5. The over-under is 232.5. The combined score between the two teams is 232.5. That means the boys in Vegas think that both teams are going to score 116 points. Is somebody going to score 117? Is somebody going to score 133 and somebody's going to score 100? Do you think the two teams will combine for more than 232 points combined? That's the question. And then -250 is what we call the money line, right? So if you want to bet on the Jazz tonight just to outright win the game, you have to put $250 down to win 100.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. If there was a +250, that means you'd have to put $100 down to win $250. So it's all gambling ease, and that's what that means. Do you guys care about gambling lines? That's something else we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a lot. Let's see. Maury Alvarez, who's a member, says, speaking of, smash the like button, only 36 likes so far. Wow, is that? Yes. We've had almost 1,000 views, and we have 39 likes. That hurts my groinial region. Let's see. Lopes fan Gabe, who's also a member, says, Mrs. Monty and Tanner RSL show coming in hot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would love to hear some desires. One of my favorite things to do on the show is ask you guys what you want. I mean, if you want, and I'm not even joking, if you want a soccer show, that's something that we can consider. Like, if you want a gambling show, one that's that's. I mean, like the gambling networks that talk over unders and what we were just saying. If you want a show like that, let us know. We are considering it. But what he was talking about with the algorithm and tanking the channel, that is something that we have to be very, very careful with, because we do have a really good thing going here, and we just don't want to wreck that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Carden, as we talk Utah Jazz, says, I would also like to see Johnny Juzang play. Was hyped as a player at UCLA. Let's see what he can do. And he's pretty good in the G League. Jake and I have seen him play. I just don't know that there's room for him, right? He's got to refine a little bit. The interesting guy is Frank Jackson. When does Frank Jackson get run with the Jazz? I think he's injured again. He did not play last night for the Stars, but when does Frank Jackson get run with the Jazz? That's a guy that on a team where the Jazz are, He's a guy that can give you those Rudy Gay minutes. He's a guy that you could, play small ball with. He's a guy that he's somebody that I think can play the 1, 2, or the 3 in this league. Like, it's just a matter of what the Jazz want. I'm a little surprised because he's played really well in the G League. I'm surprised that Jazz or somebody else have not snatched him up to play on the rest of the guy. Shoots 40% from 3. Like, I mean, I'm a little surprised that you don't give him some run.
Yeah.
A little surprised. Let's see. Josh Leverett says, Eric and Josh, we're ready to go. Exactly right. Kurt Myers says, nothing on the screen. What does that mean?
Nothing on the screen?
Kurt Myers, explain that. What do you mean? Let's see. Lopes Fan Gabe, people are watching 20 to 25 minutes per day. You got to pump those numbers up, casuals. Those are rookie numbers. Yeah, the average view time is huge. It's a really important statistic to YouTube. And on our live show, our average view duration is between 20 and 25 minutes ish.
Which is, if we're being honest, that's elite.
It's outstanding.
By YouTube standards, that's pretty ridiculous watch time.
Yeah. Chase says, I don't speak Vegas. Jeff Johnson says, I don't mind the gambling numbers. I just don't understand them because I don't participate, but I think it's interesting. It's such a baked in part of sports now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I cannot tell you how many people on a weekly basis say, oh, well, hey, man, what do you think of this game? Or, hey, where would you go? What side of this?
Remember Utah USC? Remember the first Utah USC game? Not the second one, but the first one. Dude, when we were in the week of that game leading up to it, we probably got, I'm talking about like probably 20, 30 DMs about, hey, what is the line? What do you think of, can Utah's defense hold down Caleb Williams? Like, can Cam do enough for them to win? A lot of people are about it.
Oh, look at that. Look at who our newest member is. The one and only Giggity. Maybe
attaboy.
Maybe next to Lopes Fan Gabe, who I think is the longest tenure, OG member of the show. I think, and maybe we need a sound effect every time somebody becomes a member.
Okay.
Maybe we need like a bell or something.
Yeah.
Like a Shazam.
I can work on that.
But Giggity's been on this show for years.
Ages.
Dude. Giggity, really appreciate you doing that. I appreciate it. Arlington Bear says, my average view time is 3 hours daily. Love you, dude. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Did you guys see the ratings on the Rose Bowl?
Oh no, did they let those out?
I did not. Yeah, did those
You know
come
where
out?
to go. You know where to go on Twitter, baby. Where are my guys at Super West, man?
Yeah, that's where Jake's going to go because he loves Super West.
Yeah, where are my guys?
Let's see what they say. Rose Bowl posts all-time low ratings as college football playoff expansion looms. Oh, no.
The granddaddy of them all. Yeah, okay.
Okay, here's the biggest problem with this story. Hey, there's my guy. What's
Mayor
up?
of Montytown.
Jeremy Bolton is the mayor of Montytown. Hey, again, everybody who's a member, DM me on Instagram. You get access into our exclusive Monty member group where we talk all things Jazz, all things BYU football, all that stuff. Exclusive videos, all kinds of great content on the YouTube channel will be members only. It'll be in a private group so public can't see it. And then on Instagram, you get access into our Monty only group. So make sure you DM me on Instagram, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show. The biggest problem with all-time low ratings for the Rose Bowl is that's exactly what Jake said was going to happen.
Yeah.
This is a huge problem for me.
Yeah.
Because we had not a fight.
No,
we had a heated discussion about this.
I mean, and that's why this is precisely why I felt like, hey, this is a conversation we need to have. And if you weren't here for that conversation, in the vaunted behind-the-scenes pre-show meeting that nobody needs to know about, that everybody knows about, we had a bit of a heated argument when I said, hey, we need to ask the question on today's show, what are people more hyped about? What is more important?
But what did I say? What did I say, jerk? I said, hey, man, I'm really excited to talk about the Rose Bowl. Like, this is a matchup. And, hey, Clark Phillips isn't playing. And I want to see, and Cam, is he coming back? And Jake's like, nobody cares.
You're casual.
He straight up said to me, nobody cares. Nobody cares. He's like, he said to me, I'm so much more excited about Monday Night Football, the now infamous Bengals-Bills game.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so much more excited about the Bengals-Bill game. It's an important game.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
And I said to Jake, I said, look, you MFer.
You said that I was tone deaf and that we need to talk about the Rose Bowl because it is a big deal and because we have a lot of people who, are Utah fans that watch the show, which is true, by the way. We do have a lot of Ute fans that watch this show.
You were like, okay, well, fine, then I'm tone deaf. I said to him, you're tone deaf. We're sitting in Salt Lake City. It is easily the biggest story of the day, and you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can't drink carbonation. And Jake's like, well, yeah, okay, fine, we'll talk about it. And then we get on the show, and we talk about it. People are like, ah! And now nobody watched the Rose Bowl, which absolutely makes Jake, Anyway, Salty Drunk, who's a member, says use the draft music, or is that copyright? Yes, it's copyrighted, unfortunately. The sound at the draft.
The sound. Hang on.
I think you have that already.
I do have that. Yes.
By the way, Kenai Johnson says my average view time is start to finish. This is the only program I listen to like this, the Monty Show. Appreciate you, KJ. Thank you. Jeremy Bolton says let's do this. If Caruso joins, I want my money back. I'll ask him to join. Lopes Fan Game, who's a member, says the mayor is in the building. He is. Maury Alvarez says the grand puppy of them all.
Yeah, I am. I have to be honest. I am a little surprised that
this is shocking.
Yeah, and the only reason I say it's surprising is because of Penn State. I thought that while I don't think that the Rose Bowl really had any significance this year because it didn't, like you weren't playing for anything. That's the problem. There was nothing on the line.
30%?
Yeah, I felt like the Rose Bowl would still draw because it's Penn State. That's kind of that. I felt like, hey, it's got the East Coast connection.
Oh my God. The Rose Bowl had 10.2 million viewers?
Yeah, bro.
Are you serious? The average viewership only was 10.2 million viewers. Oh my goodness. That number makes it the least watched Rose Bowl on record. Second least watch was 2016 Stanford, Iowa, which was at 13.6 million. You got beat by Iowa by 3 million vote? Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Oh my God. The Fiesta Bowl had 21.7 million views. The Peach Bowl, obviously these are college football playoff, had 22.4 million viewers.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean about this?
Oh
there
my
has
God.
to be, for college football to get good viewership like this, there's got to be a thing they're playing for. And the Rose Bowl trophy is not good enough. And this isn't even a Pac-12 thing to me. This is a college football thing. You have to be playing for something for it to matter.
Wow. I'm stunned by that. Again, don't forget in 45 minutes, Kenny Scott, the former Utah wide receiver, will join us. Kenny was one of the best guys I've ever covered at Utah. Frankly, he was really nice. He was always fun to deal with. And I want to ask him about Utah football because, let's be honest, it's Penn State. I mean, why do you guys, I don't want to go too far here. What do you attribute to the low numbers? Here's what I attribute the Rose Bowl low numbers to. It's not part of the college football playoff. It was on a Monday. It was on at, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday.
But the Monday was a holiday.
But it was a weird holiday. Let's be honest, it was New Year's Day.
Yeah.
It wasn't New Year's Day.
Yeah.
It was the celebration of New Year's Day, which was on Sunday. So it was a weird day. I think a lot of people were, I honestly, if we're truth-telling, I also think just about every Utah fan on the planet was at the Rose Bowl on Monday.
Yeah.
It was red. It was unbelievable. But I also don't think that the average garden variety college football fan cared about the Rose Bowl.
Right.
And this is why you absolutely 100%, I was wrong, you were right. I don't think the garden variety college football fan gave a damn. That's what this says. Because did anybody get excited about the Rose Parade? I did not. I didn't watch it. I didn't even know it was going on when I was.
But parades, I don't feel like it's fair to use that as a benchmark, though, right?
But it's the Rose Parade.
But what does that mean, though?
It is history, tradition, pageantry.
Yeah.
On a holiday. But it's not a holiday. It was another Monday. We worked on Monday.
Nobody else did.
Right? No, the roads were pretty empty.
It was wonderful.
To your point. But I think, what do you guys attribute to the low numbers? I don't know. That's crazy. $4.99. Thank you for your tip, Richard McDonald. Hope it didn't sound like I was insinuating you were hurting for money. I'm just saying this is a business. Nothing happens for free. Well, that's absolutely the truth. Nothing happens for free. That's
true. Yeah.
This operation is not low cost.
No, I mean, we didn't. I want to be clear, Richard. We didn't. It's not like we were saying that personally.
Not at all.
I just think it's important to explain the inner workings of it.
Hey, Jaron Eccles, our newest member on the show. Hey, my guy. Let's go. Salty Drunk, you're impacting the show. Appreciate that. Thank you. I can't believe that they had 10 million people watch the Rose Bowl. That's it.
Yeah. It's rough.
Are you kidding me? I wonder what did BYU's bowl do? It can't be that. It can't be that. You can't tell me.
No, that's I'm saying ratings. New Mexico did 5 million.
Yeah,
maybe if they were lucky.
Maybe. Let's see. When is this? New Mexico Bowl.
Oh, good. No. That headline.
No, it was good. 8 years ago. Relax.
That feels good.
Relax. Let's see. Here are some of the bowl TV front office sports. Let me check the date on this. December 22nd. The New Mexico Bowl did 2.3 million views.
Yeah.
Vegas Bowl 2.5 million. Celebration Bowl 2.4. Dion. LA Bowl 2.3, New Mexico 2.03, and Fenway Bowl 1.96. So Fenway Bowl even did under 2 million.
So you see what I mean, though? This is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, 10 million is not a bad number when you put it up against those bowls, but 10 million is a pitiful number when you put it up against the college football playoff bowls. You know what I mean? So that's why I say I kind of feel like the Rose Bowl fell in line. It fell, like, from a viewership standard. Like, when you start to paint the full picture, hey, the college football playoff got into the 20s. Those low-end bowls did 1 to 5. The Rose Bowl did 10. That feels right. That feels proper.
I'm stunned by that.
I don't know. I think that, and this is kind of, why I'm always happy to die on the hill of Utah does a really poor job of branding. They don't do a good enough job of telling the story. Because if you did, you would have had a lot more viewership, I think.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean? Like,
year over year, the Rose Bowl was down 40%.
Yeah.
Last year, the Rose Bowl did 16.63.
Does it tell you who played last year?
Yeah, Ohio State and Utah.
Oh, yeah, Ohio State and Utah. Duh. Yeah, sorry.
Ohio State and Utah.
But again, so Ohio State versus Penn State. Obviously, Ohio State's going to do pull more.
Are we saying that Utah doesn't draw on TV?
Well, yeah, not nationally they don't. And locally they do, obviously.
Yeah. Wow. Man. Let's see. Chase says, I watched the Rose Bowl, but I'm ready to forget it. Yeah, seriously. What was the Rose Bowl number last year? 16 million. Jeff said, I read the Rose Bowl was down 40%. It was. Eric and Raleigh said the college football playoff has made all the other bowl games meaningless. Yes,
agreed.
It has. I think that's a huge point. I think that is a huge point.
If it's not the SEC, I don't have to watch.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's really interesting. I think man, I'm stunned by that. Are you guys stunned by that? I'm stunned by this. 10 million people, that's it? That's it. You're not 10 million people? I'm shocked by that. I'm shocked by that. Jacob DeLambo says too many bowl games. Absolutely could be. Greg Hale says Penn State didn't deserve to be there, being the number 3 team of the Big Ten. Well, that could be. Arlington Bears, who's a member, says, I grew up watching the Rose Parade. My kids have no idea what it is. Well, you're not wrong, Chris. I mean, I grew up watching it too, obviously. Chris and I are in the same generation. I grew up watching that too.
Yeah.
And you're not wrong. I think that's a really good point. Jeremy Bolton, a member, says, you're telling me people are not watching the Utes? Say it ain't so, Jeremy. Just because you're the mayor of Monty Town. Well, that does give you carte blanche, actually. Jaron Eccles says, I'm surprised they was such a low viewership for the Rose Bowl. I know a lot of people had Monday off. Crazy low numbers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Crazy low numbers.
Again, there was not a why.
What was the Cotton Bowl rating?
Why were you playing the game? And I'm telling you, this matters. Like, hey, if you're like TCU, perfect example, TCU, Michigan. You want to know why that game did so well? Because it's Big 12 and Big 10. Just right off the top, you're in a good place, right? Just because it's those two conferences. But everybody knew.
That
TCU was the underdog in that game on paper. And then once you had a barn burner in the second half, everybody stayed. That's the difference. Hey, all those people that weren't watching it, but then ESPN was sending out like 50, push notifications an hour telling you to watch it. Now they all come in. That's why you're getting those big numbers.
Yeah, these numbers for the college football playoff.
And it doesn't help that Cam went out. That doesn't help.
You averaged 21.4 million viewers for Michigan and TCU.
Yeah, dude.
I said 21.4 million viewers.
Yes.
And the Rose Bowl got 10. Come on. That's crazy. That's crazy. And their peak viewership was 26.4 million. Yep. That's unbelievable. Let me see what the Cotton Bowl ratings did, because USC was in that.
And that was a good game too.
Well, but Tulane's a tiny market. Cotton Bowl had all-time low numbers. I'm telling you that Monday played a part in that. Had to. USC played in the Cotton Bowl, and you're telling me people didn't watch? The Rose Bowl and Cotton Bowl hit historically low numbers. The Gator Bowl scored its top audience in 7 years. Oh, my God. Tulane and USC in the Cotton Bowl, 4 million viewers. The smallest audience ever for a New Year's Six game. Oh, my God.
That's rough.
Oh, my God. The Gator Bowl had 5.4 million viewers. The Gator Bowl got more than the Cotton Bowl.
The damn Gator Bowl.
And that was Florida. No, but that's Florida State, Oklahoma, two big brands in college football. My God, dude. These numbers are bananas.
Yep.
And you wonder, but what does this take me back to? What does this take me back to? What is the Pac-12 doing right now?
Sitting on their hands.
The Pac-12 should be freaking out, is what the Pac-12 should be doing. Like, if you're not terrified by this, I just don't know. I don't know what else you say about it, because I'm telling you right now that if you are not worried as the Pac-12 about your TV deal, because ESPN is your home Capital One Bowl week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the struggle is that, ESPN does have all these bowls, and I didn't watch 90% of them. And it's because I don't care about most of the teams that are in these bowls. I care about the college football playoff, and I had to watch the Rose Bowl because it was Utah. Again, I say this all the time, and I think it's really relevant. If we didn't do this show, if I didn't have a reason to watch, if I was just working my 9 to 5, living life, trying to put myself in the average consumer's shoes, what reason did you have to watch the Rose Bowl? There wasn't a reason. There wasn't some thing. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be an ass hat here, but saying the granddaddy of them all isn't quite going to get it done anymore, George. It's not. And this whole thing around, it's the Rose Bowl game. I don't really care. It's the Rose Bowl. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And so that's why I say, like, people care. And when I say people, I mean the conference and ESPN a bit care too much about the branding and like the minutia of what we're calling it and trying to hype it. They care too much about that versus what the matchup is. The matchup is why nobody watched. The lack of why is why nobody watched. That is the issue.
I don't care. I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Sorry, I'm texting with Ken Scott. He's coming on the show at 8:30 in 25 minutes here on Football 50, 10 of the hour, every hour. What do you guys think about the Monday impact? I think it has to be the Monday impact has to be there. I think it has to be.
I think it's in the conversation, but I don't think it's the main thing.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is they weren't playing for anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Josh Lovern says, Monty, secondary shows would outdraw this Rose Bowl.
Hey,
okay,
dude.
take it easy.
Hey, dude.
Maple says the New Mexico Bowl was $2 million. Yes, it was. Kay Nurin says, you are right about the Rose Bowl. I have not watched it in years.
Yeah.
San Diego State, good morning, my friend, says, I only watched the Rose Bowl because of the show. I wanted to have a pulse on what the program's vibe was going to be. Last year, I did not watch what was a much better game. It was a far better game. Far better game. And that's very flattering you'd watch the Rose Bowl because we told you to. Chase Averett says, I think playing after the college football playoff is anticlimactic. It would be better to play before. See, that's interesting as well, because the college football playoff, those were compelling games.
Yeah, dude.
Those were super compelling games. Were they Saturday?
Yeah.
They were, but again, everybody's at home. Everybody, it's Christmas Eve, like, or the New Year's Eve. Like,
again,
everybody's at home chilling. Like, it's Saturday. You're going to watch the game.
So do you think people were not home on Monday?
I
think
think
they were out.
And I think people are not trained to watch college football on a Monday.
Yeah.
And I also think half the people in the world were probably still looking for brunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Probably.
You know, like, I just think
that early start didn't help.
But especially the Cotton Bowl, which started early, you're coming out of, hey, I got hammered on New Year's Eve, right? Like, hey, I'm still a little in the haze on New Year's Day, but I'm watching football, right? And what was on Monday? What was on Sunday? Well, the NFL. So you bumped the game so the Rose Bowl could have their exclusive window, and it blew up in your face. Like,
yeah. Yep.
And I that's tough, dude. That is tough. Macho Man says the bowl games have become meaningless. Anyone with 6 wins can play in one. And but again, I think 2 million viewers for the New Mexico Bowl is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. I wouldn't blame Utah as much as they were playing a third-place Big Ten team. Maples, I don't disagree with that at all. I don't. Salty Drunk, who's a member of the show, says, forgive my ignorance, but how does the bowl process work? I assume it's a rankings thing. Well, and this is an interesting part of this conversation as well, because now the college football playoff expanding means that conference championship, being the conference champion, actually means something. Going forward, the 4 conference champions are going to have pretty much auto bids, and then the 2 lowest ranked conference champions, like, you just have all this mathematics, and right now, this past season, you just had to win 6 games. And to get into a New Year's Six Bowl, you had to be ranked and all this other stuff. But now it's going to be, I think you're going to have a much clearer path to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy says, who also is a member of the show, thank you, Jeremy. He says, I'd totally blame the University of Utah because they don't have a storied program like BYU. Oh, boy, here we go. If BYU was to make the Rose Bowl, viewership would be off the charts. Crazy.
Program.
I can't disagree with that.
But how much more effort would they put into hyping it?
Can't disagree with that. If BYU was in the Rose Bowl, exactly right. You'd see BYU TV, you'd see social media, you'd see the equipment truck.
Look what they did over a jersey for Notre Dame. Like, what do you think they do for the Rose Bowl?
Oh, my God. I agree. Mike Maple says, also saw Mekhi Bernard is heading for the transfer portal. He is. I don't think he's going to USC, though. I don't think he's going to USC. There's a lot of people who said he's going there. I don't think he's going there. Lewis says those numbers prove how dead the Pac really is. That I agree with.
Yeah.
I think the Pac-12 is in real trouble. Arlington Bears, who's a member, says the first member, by the way.
Yes.
First one to sign up for membership on this show yesterday. College football playoff makes all the other bowls pointless. Pointless. It's a pat on the back. It's a high five. It's a participation.
Hey, nice job.
Trophy. That's all it is. Eric and Raleigh loves to say Pac-0.
Well,
can't disagree with you. What did Alabama, Kansas State do? Will you check that out?
Yeah.
Look at Alabama's bowl number. Fat Jesus says, Falling for Christmas, the new Lindsay Lohan TV movie had 31.2 million viewers in the first 4 days. That's what I'm talking about. All right, football 50-10 of the hour, every hour on the Monty Show, brought to you by the best meatballs and pizza.
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do meatballs and marinara.
Actually, I do the meatballs and marinara.
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it?
Order now at papamurphys.com.
Yeah, I'm telling you, get the marinara meatballs, man, because they're spectacular. Order your pizza, get the marinara meatballs with it, and then use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. They present football at 50, 10 to the hour, every hour on the Monty Show. You have that number?
9.8 million.
9.8 million for a meaningless Alabama game.
But it's not meaningless because it's Alabama.
So Alabama pretty much drew as much as the Rose Bowl did.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And Bryce Young put on a show. That's crazy to me. Look at that. Hey, Justin Salas, our newest member on the program. Hey, there it is. Appreciate that. Yeah, at 8 o'clock, don't forget, coming up in about 29 minutes, Ken Scott will join the program talking Utah football.
Excuse me.
What's that?
It's program.
Coming up in about half an hour on the program. We'll have Kenny Scott, the former Ute receiver, will join the show. Once a Ute, always a Ute. And we'll ask him about this. We'll ask him his reaction to that. And we'll ask him about, where Utah football is, because I think Utah's in a very precarious situation. I don't much care about Mekhi Bernard transferring. Good luck to you, sir. I don't think it's impactful. I don't think it's the end of the world. But the bigger question that I have, and the bigger question that I ask about Utah football, and we'll ask Kenny about this, is it time for an offensive philosophical change at Utah? And is Kyle Whittingham courageous enough to do that? I think that's the biggest question right now. Because I would agree, Jake said in our meeting before the show today that, hey, the path is more clear now going forward than it's ever been for Utah to get to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, should we expect Utah to compete for a college football playoff spot every single year? Well, if it's that clear, I would think you would.
Yeah, I think it's unequivocally yes. I think it's unacceptable not to be in the 12-team playoff if you're Kyle Whittingham.
By the way, Jaron Eccles, who is a member on the show, says, I love the dedication to correcting program to program. It's the little things that count.
Program.
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, we are offering.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, we are offering memberships on the program now. You can subscribe as a member to the Monty Show on YouTube for $10 a month. That's going to get you exclusive video content every day right here on the old YouTube machine. We will post members-only content as well. It will get you access to an exclusive Instagram group where you can chat with us 24 hours a day. We're growing a nice little community here, so make sure you DM me on Instagram. I'll add you to the group. And when there's the Rose Bowl going on, we'll all be chatting about the Rose Bowl or the Jazz game in Houston tonight. We'll be talking about all those things 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is really fun. Big shout out to Chris Karn. He was our first one to get on board with the membership. There he is right there. How about that? Greg Hawkins was number 2. Our guy Lopes fan Gabe was number 3. And it just helps the show immensely when you guys subscribe. Thank you so much for that. Richard McDonald, who's also a member, says the problem with bowls always has been that they go against the very nature of why people love athletics, and that is to see who is the best. What does winning a bowl game really tell us? Nothing.
Facts.
And today, we get opt-outs. Guys are like, making too much money, going to go to the NFL. Clark Phillips. You get guys like Cam Rising who get injured. And now, by what we're told from multiple sources, that Utah has a torn ACL and significant related damage, and he's looking at 9 to 12 months in rehab. You get these situations where these guys don't want to play in the bowl game because there's too much on the line for them. I look at Grayson McCall, the Coastal quarterback, who got hurt in their bowl game. He was in the transfer portal, and now he's not. I look at these situations, and there's not a lot of incentive to play in the bowl game unless you're in the college football playoff. And those guys have opt-outs as well.
Yeah.
It's really rough. I mean, you look at Penn State without, their best corner, without their best offensive lineman. They had guys opt out, and it's the flipping Rose Bowl. There's a lot of factors, and I think this was an unintended consequence of NIL and the portal. There's not a lot of incentive for a lot of these guys that are going to the league to play in their bowl games.
Yeah, and then you want to wonder why the Rose Bowl does tiny numbers.
Yeah, totally agree. Talking with Raphael podcast says, would the exclusive membership have RSL content?
If you would like it to.
Sure.
That's part. No, but I'm being serious. That's part of it. That's part of the membership thing is hey, I want some RSL content. Okay, great. We can roll that out for you for sure. I mean, I can't sit here and say it's going to be a full show or a full podcast or something, but there's no reason why we can't have conversations about RSL. Absolutely. I mean, that's part of what it is.
Okay, cool. Let's see. So I love K. Scott. He's awesome. I'm excited to talk to him. He'll join us here in about 25 minutes. Stick around for that on the program. Let's see. Jaron Eccles, does a membership come with early access to Monty Show merch? Yes. Yeah, there's a ton of things. Okay, so the Instagram group is a huge part of this. It's a huge part of this because when you have a membership to our channel for $10 a month, we're going to tell you, hey, this contest is rolling out. And when you are a member, you get 5-to-1 entries to those who are not members. When you're a member, you get early access to our merch lines that we are going to roll out, that we've been talking about rolling out for 7 years. We will roll out merch, I promise. You get early access to all kinds of things because you're in our Instagram group. That's why the Instagram group is so important. And it's fun to chop it up over a Jazz game and a Ute game and a BYU game and an RSL match. And if you say, hey, Monty, what's your opinion on this RSL signing that they aren't going to make this offseason? Because I don't know that they've signed any players this offseason.
Yep.
I'll cut you a 2-minute video telling you what I think of those things.
Yeah.
It's very
and
simple.
That thing could be life. That thing could be money. That thing could be RSL. That thing could be politics. There's so many. That's why the Instagram group is cash in this, because you can ask, hey, anything you want, and you're going to get a response on that. And that's why we put this together, because we already interact with you guys a lot, but we felt like, hey, if we could really get we could kind of divvy it up to people who really wanted that unique, one-off stuff, that would be of huge value. But I think also when Jaron is asking about merch, yes, you're probably going to get a week head start or week early access to a merch line, so you won't have to worry about the sizes being sold out. You are going to get 5-to-1 entries on giveaways, which we have several coming in the first 2 quarters of this year. You're going to get all of this advance notice stuff. So that's why we're talking about it, because we literally, today's day 1, we just rolled it out, but you're going to see it's going to provide a lot of value.
And the other thing we've talked about doing is member-only contests. So, hey, go to a Jazz game with us, but you have to be a member of the show to do that. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. San Diego State Aztecs says, I'll be subscribing. I prefer to do it on an Apple device for payment purposes. On an Android now.
Where's your MacBook?
Wow, this is betrayal. First of all, Android?
With all due respect.
Really? I'm kidding. I'm just being a jerk. Appreciate your support, San Diego State. I'm just not an Android guy. Hey, man, can I fold my phone in half? Sure you can. All right. We'll talk about it when I pick you up from daycare, little Jimmy. Right? Hey, can I draw with a crayon on my phone? Sure you can. No, I'm going to stop. In the comments section, Android or Apple? Just drop it. Android or Apple? Which one are you?
And by the way, on last thing on that comment, there is something called Samsung Pay. So if you have a Samsung,
but nobody uses Samsung.
Well, he does.
Samsung.
It's garbage. I know, but
Samsung. He clearly doesn't. He clearly doesn't, because he said, I want to do it on my Apple device. It's a smart man.
Yeah.
It's a smart man. Nathan Sharp. NIL contracts should have a bull inclusion clause.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I do want to make sure we say, though, with the membership thing, to get into the Instagram group, you need to DM us. They're not connected. They don't just auto. And there's a lot of people coming into this, so we're doing our best to keep track, but it really helps if you guys would just DM the Monty Show, or you can DM me, SLC Jake, on Instagram, and we'll get you added to the group.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Kenny Scott's hysterical.
Okay.
So I was asking him, hey, what do you prefer? Ken, Kenny, Kenneth?
The Kenster?
He's like, K. Scott. Everybody calls me K. Scott. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Just going back. The guy, K. Scott is salt of the earth. I'm telling you. Well, I'll talk to him about it. Him and Drez Anderson were easily 2 of the most enjoyable people to talk to at Utah.
Yeah.
2 of the most enjoyable people ever to talk to at Utah. They were so much fun. All right. Oh, boy. Look at this. Talking with Raphael. Apple. Ding.
So, Raphael, as far as the RSL content, what does that suffice, or what would you need?
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Josh Levern says, what about GCU content? Wink. And Lopes fan Gabe, who's a member, says, hey, Josh, I just want to hear the Dealing with Marley horror stories.
Oh, we can tell those stories in a private setting.
There were some horror stories.
Yeah, we can tell those stories in a private setting.
Kay Nurin says, I'm glad Don is doing so well in Cleveland. 71 points are only just starting point off his stardom. Yeah,
hope so.
He did again last night. He's a stud, dude. I'm telling you. He's a stud. Brad Turner says, I wasn't around in August, but the Professional Lacrosse League comes to Utah again this year. We will see you guys there. Ooh, I'm a huge lacrosse guy. Is there a team here? Is there a professional lacrosse team here?
I am happy to say I'm a casual on lacrosse. I'd have to do some homework on it.
One off for now on lacrosse, but we'll live to see it big in Utah. I love lacrosse. I mean, it's awesome. It is. Ooh, look at that.
Man, we got
new
all
membership.
kinds of
Let's
stuff
go.
coming in. Okay.
Eric and Raleigh just became a member. Eric, again. Now, talking about OGs, Eric and Raleigh is, I think, and Eric, you can correct me, I think Eric and Raleigh used to listen to me in San Francisco way back in the day.
Yeah, where did you, I would love to hear when did you find us? When have you guys, all the people who have joined, if you're already a member or if you've just joined, comment, when was your first show with us?
Eric and Raleigh says, shut up and take my money, GIF. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Louis Capazzo says, love Apple products except for those darn iPhones. I love my phone.
Yeah.
We've got, I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah,
do you understand the investment that we have in Apple products on this show?
It's bad, bro.
Raptor88, what's up? Raptor88 is a new member of the program.
Let's go.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Fat Jesus said, I want a separate channel for non-sports content. Ooh. Could do that. Could do that. Could do that.
Pop into the group, Fat Jesus.
Could do that. I have an Apple card that I love having. The few subscriptions I have are paid for that way.
Yeah,
I do like my Apple Card for that.
I abuse my Apple Card on a regular basis.
See, but I'm an Amex guy. You're an Apple Card guy. I'm an Amex guy.
And you know what I love about, and Amex has started to reward me. Apple was very aggressive in upping my credit limit. I started with 3,000 with them, and I'm up to 16 now, and it's crazy, bro.
I just remember one day, Amex sent me, I have a platinum card. Amex sent me an email to say, hey, you're eligible for platinum membership. Call this number or apply online. So, of course, I'm never the apply online guy because of scams. So I called the number. And the Amex lady, we're going through the process. And I said, well, okay, what's the credit limit? Like, how much credit do I get on this platinum? She goes, it's unlimited. You don't have a credit limit. You can spend as much as you like. I'm like, so I could go buy a car? She goes, yeah. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. The credit. I have way too much credit. I don't have any debt, but I have way too much credit. I don't need it. It scares me to look at it at times. Is that me being? I'm probably being.
Yeah, you're being weird.
I'm not trying to be. Yeah, that's not what I meant. Anyway, my first show was like 2 years ago at the beginning of 2021, right when we got on YouTube. There you go.
There you go.
Eric and Raleigh said, I found Tim when he filled in on KNBR, the KNBR 680, the sports leader. For Gary Radnich during the holidays in 2010.
Wow.
2010.
What a name.
Yeah. Good old Gary Radnich, man. Let's see. BB. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Thoughts on Holly Rowe? She seems like she's everywhere. Holly's, listen, you give your opinion on Holly, because I know you're going to say the exact same thing I would say.
Yeah, she sucks on the Jazz. She's great on bowl content. Like on the reason you're seeing her everywhere is because she's really, really good at college football sideline reporting.
Yeah.
And I'm not even shining her. Like, she is elite at stand with the coach or player and talk to them.
Ask the right question.
Yeah, she gets it. But
totally.
on Jazz stuff, and I'm, to be honest, I've been mulling this over, this Holly Rowe thing, as the Jazz have been playing more games here. And I'm starting to have the opinion that the Jazz ask her to do the wrong thing. It's not that she sucks. Meaning that it appears that she's not good at what she does for the Jazz because they're asking her to do something that she's not comfortable doing.
Dude, this is a really proud dad moment.
What?
I think that I said something and you actually listened.
Uh-huh.
Wow. God damn, bro. I feel like this is a moment in time. Well, my child actually listened to something I said. I'm proud of you, dude.
We really did.
Because I said to him, I don't think Holly's bad at what she does, but they're asking her to do too much. Either let her be a full-time color commentator or have her be a sideline reporter.
And that's how I look at it.
Have her interview guys at halftime. Have her interview the coach between quarters. But stop asking her to be, give me 7-second sound bites every 3 minutes. That ain't going to work.
Jordan Clarkson looks amazing.
That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. Not going to happen. Josh Lovern says, my grandpa is a huge fan of yours, Monty.
Let's go. Get him a YouTube account. Subscribe.
Do it. It was either in the 00s or very early 10s. I think it was 2010.
Yeah.
2010. Rich, Eric and Raleigh says no. Come on, man. Come on. Hey, look at that. Mark Life.
Oh.
Merc Life. Excuse me. Merc Life is a new member of the channel. Are you new to our channel? I don't think I know the name Merc Life.
I don't think I've ever seen that account. Are you new? Yeah, again, hey, when did you start listening to the show? Let's hear your story.
Merc Life, what's up? Edward Urbina says Berhalter shouldn't be the manager of the U.S. soccer team because he has nothing to offer to make sports progress in this country.
Well, that's an interesting take. I think that, I mean, on some level, when you coach an Olympian or someone that represents our country, I mean, that's part of your responsibility. That's an interesting angle.
Yep, I agree. Talking with Raphael podcast. By the way, find Raphael's podcast and listen.
Yeah.
Him and his boy do a good podcast. Raphael's a good dude too, man.
Yeah.
Raphael's good people. I enjoy knowing you, Raphael. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, dude.
I was thinking short clips and curious on expanded sports talk besides jazz, college sports, SLBs, rugby, and much more. We're going to do a lot more baseball this summer. I'm convinced. I just can't keep ignoring baseball.
Yeah.
I am too much of a fan. I love it. My Chicago Cubs essentially stole Eric Hosmer from Boston via San Diego. It's not Anthony Rizzo.
The Cubs, okay, 2 seconds. So the Cubs get Eric Hosmer, right?
Yes.
The Cubs are paying Eric Hosmer $750,000 a season, which on its face is like, oh, that's a lot of money. But by baseball standards, that's nothing. The Padres are paying him, I think it was $38 million a year or some ridiculous number. And the Red Sox are not involved because of the way the contract works for Hosmer. Nice
he was
job,
traded.
buddy.
I love it.
Nice job.
I love it. I don't love it as much as a pellet smoker from our good friends at Barbecue Pit Stop.
Well,
bbqpitstop.com. Make sure that you tell them you heard about them on The Monty Show. Find them in Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, and, of course, our good friends in Murray, right across from the mall there. They're all good people. You know they have the best equipment. Again, I'm a Traeger guy. I love my Traeger smoker. And it's so easy to use. I was DMing with Will yesterday, and Will was saying he has never bought a smoker because it's intimidating. You guys, running a smoker is not difficult. The hardest part about running the smoker is building it, frankly. The guys at Barbecue Pit Stop will do that for you as well.
yeah.
But once you get it home, you build it. That takes about half an hour. Plug it in, put the pellets in the smoker, and hit the switch, and you're smoking. That's it. Honest to God, that's all you do. Is there an art to making a brisket on a smoker? Yes. That is a whole day process, and there's, you've got to let it brine a little bit. You got to do this. You got to wrap it. You got to put it in the cooler. Like, there's all kinds of stuff you got to do. I can make wings on my Traeger smoker in half an hour. I can make veggie skewers for Mrs. Monty because she's pretty much a vegetarian, which means I'm a vegetarian too.
Right.
So I can make the veggies. I can make the Papa Murphy's pizza 25 minutes on the Traeger smoker. Like, it's so easy to use the smoker. Ribs are like 30 minutes on the Traeger smoker. You name it, you can do it. Burgers, dogs, brats, chops, steaks, briskets, pizza, wings, drums, because we don't eat flats on this show. I think we all know that. The bottom line is using a smoker is super easy, whether it's a Traeger, a Yoder, a Big Green Egg, Camp Chef, you name it. They've got it at Barbecue Pit Stop. And oh, by the way, if you do get it home and you're like, how the hell do you turn this thing on? You can call Barbecue Pit Stop. You can chat with them on their website, bbqpitstop.com, and say, I don't know how to turn my smoker on. They will laugh at you, and then they will tell you how to turn your smoker on.
Yeah.
They're salt of the earth people too, man. They're really good dudes. Make sure you tell the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop you heard about it on the Monty Show. Always appreciate when you guys support our sponsors. That makes a huge difference to the show, so thank you for that. Ken Scott coming up here in about 10 minutes talking Utah football. Lopes fan Gabe says maybe 2017 or so. I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Merc Life says, been listening for the past few weeks. Love it. Too much not to support. Oh, thanks, Merc Life. Appreciate that, man. Welcome to the show.
Please make sure. I want to make sure we're hitting this because we get a lot of people come and go, and it's just the nature of YouTube. We have an Instagram group as part of this membership. Make sure, please, man, please DM us, The Monty Show or SLC Jake, on Instagram and ask to be added. We will add you. And the reason you want to be part of that is because you're going to get a lot of exclusive stuff that the channel won't see. That, like, you trust me, you want to be in that group.
And the thing that I would tell you is, again, we're talking about memberships. Subscribe to the channel. Yes, of course, hit the subscribe button. But then you can join the membership group for $10 a month. That's going to get you exclusive video content every single day on this show on YouTube. And we have an Instagram group for members of the show only. Those who, join, pay us $10 a month. You get into our Instagram group where we'll talk about all kinds of things. You can ask us about anything. We can chat about the Jazz game tonight, Utah football during the Rose Bowl. You name it, we could do it. If there's guests you want to see, hit us up in the Instagram group. Hey, why don't you get this guy on? Do that. If you want an RSL guest, I'm happy to do it. I've had Trey Fitzgerald on my shows forever. Trey's a great dude. I'm happy to have him on the show if that's who you want us to talk to. Ken Scott coming up here in about 6 minutes. Stick around for that. But Merc Life, appreciate you, bud. Really appreciate you. SLCP Shooter. I found Monty on 1320K fan. Followed through Arizona. I missed the daily energy drink can shooting.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we'll get that going.
And the shopping cart shooting contests. Shopping cart golf has not been friendly to me.
Well, the problem is that it's been snowing so much we haven't been doing it.
Yeah, we'll do some, those cart corrals in the parking lot at the grocery store?
Well, no, it's Harmon's International Golf Course.
Thank you. Third fairway. You just push the cart from distance and get it into the cart corral, man.
Yeah, you got to account for the pitch. You got to account for the roll,
Yeah, absolutely. Lopes fan Gabe says maybe 2017 or so. I believe that's correct. Appreciate that. Raphael says thanks for the shout out. You're welcome. Talking with Raphael, live podcast on the Monty Network. Could happen.
Could happen.
Raptor 88 says been listening since 1320K fan, then lost where to find your show for a while. We had a dark period in Arizona. Did I mention anybody it's hot in Arizona?
Oh shit, damn, I am tripping.
Dude, it was hot in Arizona. Richard McDonald says I like seeing my name in green. So do we.
That's pretty
Richard,
cool, huh?
So do we.
I didn't. So it's funny behind the scenes, right? Part of this process for us is learning everything you get, though, too. Like, they don't, it's funny, YouTube, your name being in green, YouTube didn't tell us your name would be in green. They told us you'd get the emoji, but they didn't say they'd highlight everybody, which is cool.
And the other thing is that we just became eligible for membership probably 3 months ago. And then you as you get more views, as you do better on YouTube, they give you access to more tools. So that's why you see us rolling some stuff out. Let's see. Richard McDonald says, I heard you guys last football season for the first time. I think someone had linked to you guys on Cougar Board, and I've been hooked ever since. Good old Cougar Board.
There you go.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks, Cougar Board. Should do some sort of member watch party for All-Star Weekend. We could do that.
Yeah.
We could absolutely do that, Salty Drunk, who's a member. Kay Nurin says, I was looking for jazz content and found your show and loved it. Thanks, Kay. Appreciate that. Brad Turner, I didn't even realize smokers are electric. This is the bonus life knowledge I love. Much more inclined to get one now. Yeah,
we'll definitely do some smoking content. It is so easy, man. They're electric. You just plug them in. If you get a Traeger, right? Plug it in, pellets in the box, get your seasoning at Barbecue Pit Stop. You're on your way. And the best part is, the one advantage I feel like that the smoker has overall over anything else is even if you don't know what you're doing, right? You can kind of patchwork your way through it the first time, with a brisket or whatever. You're not going to just torch the thing the first time. That's also what I like. The ease of learning it is good.
And the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop really helped us. The first time we ever made a brisket, we were having a party. The guys at Barbecue Pit Stop were great. We talked about, I was asking them, hey, do I really need to wrap it, put it in a cooler? Oh, yeah, here's why. They're great dudes. I'm telling you. That's why we shop there. Salty Drunk says, I found the show and I was looking for Joe Ingles highlights, to be honest. Oh, that's surprising.
That's crazy, bro.
That's not surprising. Let's see. Edward Urbina says, the language in the U.S. soccer is purely spoken in the U.S., and I agree. It's just stupid.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. Jared McQuett. Am I saying that right, Jared? Jared McQuett. Another one. Jared, how long have you been watching the show?
That's a new name.
I think you're a new name. I appreciate you being here. Jeremy Bolton, the mayor of Monty Town, says, the first time listening to you guys was your first day at 1320K fan with Napoleon and Will Smith. I have fond memories of driving into work listening to you guys. Rip Will. Yeah, Will Smith was a legend, is a legend. I mean, the guy is just...
Yeah.
Yeah. That one still hurts to this day. Let's see. Lopes fan Gabe says, is Salty Drunk bringing the 4X Gold to the watch party? I mean, I think at this point, you don't owe us a six-pack. Like, Salty, you owe us like a keg of 4X Gold.
Wonder if duck season's going to be a member.
No, I ain't doing it. Let's see. Brad Turner says, I definitely want an option to cook meat outside. Will be great to not have to get propane or charcoal. It's such a game changer. Such a game changer. Jared McQuett says, yes, you got the last name right. I've been watching since probably May last year. Oh, nice, Jared.
Nice, dude.
Good to see you, man.
Appreciate you. I really appreciate you stepping out into the light and being a member. That's awesome, bro. Thank you.
Yep. Brad Turner says, I also found you guys looking for jazz content in March of this year or past year. Thank you, Brad. Jeremy Bolton says, maybe duck season will bring his money he owes you. Could be.
And remember, please don't forget to DM us on Instagram. Like, not trying to beat a dead horse, but if you don't DM us, I can't guarantee you're going to get added because there's so many people we have to add.
Yep, totally agree. All right, let's talk Utah football. Kay Scott's totally agree.
Yeah.
Kay Scott's going to join us.
My bad.
Was that an accident?
Yes.
Kay Scott's going to join us here in just a bit. Kenny, obviously, you know, Ute alum on Kyle Whittingham's teams and just really a good dude. And, you know, I was talking to Greg Hawkins, and we were talking about Utah football yesterday offline, and I was like, you know, if there's a guy I want to talk to, it's probably Ken Scott, because we were talking about alums, and I've told this story several times on the show. Kay Scott and Dres Anderson were two of the most enjoyable guys to talk to when I was covering Utah football. And, you know, I've followed Kay Scott since he played football at Utah and just the things he's doing. And Kenny's just a good dude. So when we were talking about Utah and we were talking about, you know, hey, you know, how do alums view the program and what, you know, how the direction of the program. And we were like, well, we should get an alum on, and he's the first guy that came to mind. So, and speaking of which, there he is. How about that? How about that? Let's get Ken Scott on the show. Okay, so Kenneth, Kenny, Ken, or Kay Scott? What are we doing here, man? Oh, what happened? I bumped him. My bad. Go right ahead.
Man. You didn't bump me out. God,
you're already out.
Like,
you're out.
Man. Threw me
I'm
on
kidding.
out.
And look at the 2 on the wall behind you, man.
Oh, yeah. You see it. You know, the university that just blessed me so graciously with that. So I had to put it up on the wall.
Amen to that. Kenny, let's catch up, man. Like, where have you been? I didn't even see you there, but I was just telling everybody that the time that I covered Utah, you were one of the best guys to talk to. You're that dude who, no matter if it's raining, shining, snowing, you're always got a smile on your face. You're always in a good space. Like, what makes you tick, man?
You know, my family, honestly, that's what makes me tick. And in regards to ticking in a negative way, probably people that are not gracious about life and all the things that it encompasses and the things that it can provide to us, you know. And so for me, you know, I'm always smiling, positivity, because I feel like that's the best cure to anything, is just being optimistic about your situation. And so that's what keeps me going, man.
Oh, Kenny, how about this story? I'm going to drop a breaking news story on you.
Uh-oh.
The Buffalo Bills have announced that Demar Hamlin is neurologically intact. Okay. He is showing extremely positive signs towards recovery from critical condition due to that cardiac arrest situation. Dude, that's crazy. You played the game. Ooh. What did you think when you saw that Demar Hamlin situation?
When I first saw it, I didn't expect it to have that type of outcome. I was like, because it looked like a regular tackle, like it happens many times. And when I seen it and the way he just fell, I just broke. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It just made me just grateful for all the items that, you know, I went through in football and not had to have that type of outcome. And then for the future of football, I'm like, man, how do you play after that? Like,
yeah,
that's tough, especially for defensive players, because, you know, they're the headhunters, you know, trying to bring someone down.
And I think we forget sometimes, Kay, that you guys are just human beings. Like when you're playing football, you're not a guy that, okay, well, the game's over, let's hit the off switch and hang him on a hook.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're a human being. And I think sometimes we forget that. And I think especially, you know how rabid Utah fans are. And I think sometimes we get after guys too much. I just think that Hamlin situation, and thank God that you hear that his brain seems to be intact, man. How awesome is that news? But I just think we forget that you guys go home. Like, obviously, everything you went through with your mom, your family, like your life. Like, I mean, you guys have lives outside of football, and I think sometimes we too easily forget that.
For sure. And another thing is, too, it's like I heard someone say, I think it was Deion Sanders that just said it. I was watching this Coach Prime flicks. He said, keep work from home and keep home from work, something of that nature, right? Separating the two. And, that's what you got to do because it can take a toll on you, as I've seen many times through my player career.
By the way, I love that Coach Prime show.
Oh,
that is, I'm telling you, man, me and Mrs. Monty were sitting on the couch the other day, flip that thing on, and we watched both episodes that were available. You turn Deion Sanders on, K. Scott, you're not turning that off.
You're not. And, man, I know we're talking about Utah, but think about what he's about to do at Colorado. People just want to be around him. Like the players, if you get a call from Deion Sanders, I don't care if I'm a D lineman. I'm picking up his phone call. Like, that's the type of impact Deion Sanders has. Any recruit is available to him. Anybody.
Yeah. By the way, you want to talk about gnarly injuries. That toe thing that he went through, he almost had his leg. Dude, I was almost like, oh, my God.
Yeah. I didn't. So when Shannon Sharp was interviewing him like a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about, you 8 toes down, huh? And I said, oh, that was hilarious. But I didn't think about, I didn't know he had his toes amputated. I said, oh, whoa.
Dude.
Crazy.
And that gash on his leg now, that's crazy. But, yeah, real quick. So what are you up to now, man? What occupies your time these days?
So for me, man, I know people probably see it, but I love writing. So I'm getting ready to publish 4 more books this year. 4 of them, which is a memoir, and then 2, I'm trying to do a children's series for children's books for both of my kids, so they can have something to look up to when they, get older, be the cool kids in school that has a book. And so that's what I'm doing. Obviously, music, that's something I love doing as well, which I performed at halftime. And then I have, the affordability to go around speaking. Did a TED Talk about a couple months ago, which was pretty good.
I saw it.
That opening up doors. So that was pretty well. So that's what I'm doing with my time nowadays.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your time at Utah, because my opinion always was that you were underutilized. And I know that that's, reflecting back, that's probably not where I should start. But let me ask you then directly, do you feel like you had a good run at Utah? Did you get everything you needed to get out of being a Ute?
Of course I would want 10 passes a game, but, I just had to figure out that's just not the style of offense, that we ran at that time, and so that's something I had to get over and put my ego aside, especially when you have guys I came into the program was a spread offense, and that's where I was assuming that I was going to be inserted to, thinking about the Sugar Bowl years, seeing how they passed the ball 30, 40 times, receivers having 1,000 yards, 800 to now your top leading receivers only having 400 yards, and that can be a hit at your ego, and you have to turn into a more blocking type of receiver. But, at the end of the day, I'm just grateful for all the opportunities I did have, created super crazy bonds within the team. But would I have wanted the ball more? Of course. But I feel like I took advantage of the opportunities that, were thrown my way, whether it was a pass interference call or me actually catching the ball. So, of course I would have wanted more passes, but, we did a tremendous things in shaping the trajectory of where the program's headed now.
But it's interesting that you bring up the kind of offense, because my biggest complaint with everything that Kyle Whittingham's done, and he has done amazing things at Utah, the one thing he's never been able to do is have, outside of Alex Smith, I think, but he's never been able to have that guy who's the best quarterback in the country, let alone the conference. He's never teamed that guy with the great receivers and great running backs. And it just seems like, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's always been, the quarterback position has always been an issue with Kyle Whittingham at Utah.
I wouldn't say it's an issue, because if you think about it, we've had elite 11 quarterbacks, and a lot of people would be like, man, give me that quarterback, because Travis Wilson was an elite 11 quarterback. Connor Manning was an elite 11 quarterback.
Manning.
Yeah, I think Brandon, why am I forgetting Brandon's last name? Dang it. Brandon Cox. There we go. Brandon Cox.
Oh, yeah.
Elite 11. We had a lot of talented quarterbacks that if any other program would have took a hand on, they would have been, I want that kid, And it's just the system, you have to be privy to the system, and that's what happens. And you just got to be a part of the right system to prevail.
And I also think star ratings are the scourge of a teenager's life, frankly. I don't think whether you're a 2-star or a 5-star, I just don't think it matters. You've got to go somewhere and develop. And I guess the question for me is, if you're an Elite 11 quarterback, look at Connor Manning, because I think Connor had a small opportunity. He was never the guy at Utah. So whether you're Connor Manning, Travis Wilson, head over heels at Michigan, like, my point is, you're a great quarterback. You're really talented. Is it Utah, which is why you don't wind up being at the top of your game? Because I don't feel like if you're a quarterback in this country, if you're Arch Manning or whoever you want to point to, you're not like, man, I'm a quarterback. I got to go to Utah. I'm a wide receiver. I need to get 10 targets a game. You're not thinking Utah. I'm a corner. I'm a defensive lineman. I'm a linebacker. My last name's Barton. I'm going to Utah. You know what I mean?
And the running back and lineman position, that's something that we've been popular about in regards to getting those guys the ball, getting them the touches.
Yep.
From when I started, every running back, from John White to Devontae Booker, then after Booker, Williams, and then every year there's going to be a running back. That's just if you're a running back and you want to have a successful, you want to go to Utah, because that's what that's the type of style that we play with. We want to run the ball, and create opportunities out in space. But systematically, as a receiver, when it comes to you have to put your ego aside a little bit. You look at players like Solomon Enos, 4-star recruit coming out of high schohave great talent.
NFL family.
Right, NFL family, and it's all about the system, really, that that's supported. So a lot of players, I have a conversation about this often. People think because you have some great stats that you're a great player. No, that's not really the case. You just have more opportunity than said person. Yeah. If you were to put Solomon Enos in a pass-happy offense, I'm pretty sure he'll be productive. If you were to put Devon Bele in Arizona pass-happy offense, you'd have 1,500 yards. So it just depends on the opportunity, really. And so I don't really look at stats nowadays. I just look at, okay, what does he do with the opportunity? What does his framework look like? Just the technicalities of it. But we have the players and the skill set. It's just our system, and the way we operate that is best for us to win games. That's really what it comes down to.
Obviously the college football playoff is changing. The meaning of the Rose Bowl is changing. I mean, you're coming off of, and as a guy who played football, how much is the hangover? How hard is the hangover when you win 2 back-to-back Pac-12 championships and you lose 2 Rose Bowls? Obviously, last year that loss was really tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, your leader goes down in Cam. Like, how tough is that hangover to get past?
Man, that's tough, man. I know they were hurting after this game, man, because, man, you went there 2 straight times, and the result wasn't the way you wanted it. And honestly, outside looking in, I know Penn State is a great team. They only lost to Ohio State and Michigan. But you kind of thinking, like, man, we should have got that one,
Yep.
But I think it's going to be motivation, fueling them for coming in the off season into the new year, because this upcoming schedule this year, I looked at it, I was like, holy crud, this is going to be a pretty tough,
Yeah.
So hopefully this can fuel them all the way through so that, it can be good for them in this like stretch of coming into the new year.
Yeah, and I think that the thing, when I hear you say that, the thing that really comes to mind is Kyle Whittingham's got a job to do here. And I know that obviously the recruiting class is fantastic. Obviously, he's bringing in a lot of talent. But give me your feelings on what Kyle Whittingham was like when you played for him. What kind of coach is he on the day-to-day when we don't hear from him or see him and you guys are interacting? What kind of man, what kind of coach is Kyle Whittingham?
Dude, I love Coach Whit, man. He's like the best. Like, I know he seems like he's all the way like laser. He is laser focused. Don't get that wrong. He is laser focused, but like off the field, he's such a genuine, soft guy. Like, he's just a good guy. Like, he calls you to check up on you, make sure you're all right. Like, he just loves to do different activities, just like a regular person. And he's really down to earth. I know when I come visit the Utah facilities, he allows me just to kick it in his office with him, and we just shoot the jazz about everything, about like, whether it's bicycling, snowboarding, anything, and so Coach Whit, he is, even though it doesn't look like it on the outside, he is the ultimate players coach. And there's a reason why all the players want to come back to support him, because he's just a great guy. Like, you can even ask Andy Phillips. They be going snowboarding and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a cool dude, man. I want him to make himself a book before his career ends, because I think it'll be impacted with a lot of lessons within it.
Do you it's funny, everybody assumes, I don't believe that he will retire. Certainly not now. How long do you think he coaches?
Oh, I had the thought before that, okay, if he wins the Rose Bowl, this may be it. But since they want to expand the playoffs, I think it gave him new blood. He's like, oh yeah, I start smelling something. Okay, the playoffs is here. All right, now let me wait till the playoffs. So I think it may be probably like another, honestly, 5 to 7 years till we can ask that question, because the playoffs is here. We've always been around the 8 to 10 range at the end of the season. And so, being the playoffs is extended to that, to the 8 teams, we might get in there and give it a shot. So you never know.
Is he a national championship caliber head coach? Is Kyle Whittingham the guy that can lead the Utes to a title?
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. Hey, this man needs a statue. All the stuff that he's able to accomplish. I remember during my tenure, like, there's so many people trying to get him. Like, he's just so loyal to Utah. And so, like, recruits, I'm like, man, if I want consistency at a head coaching program, I'm going to Utah. Like, that he's always going to be there. No matter how much money is thrown at him, he's going to stay put at Utah. And so that's what I love about it. And it feels good for, like, alumni like myself to be able to come back, home, typically, technically, and still see the program where it is the same guys, the same coaches, the younger brothers of people like Lander Barton. I remember when he was like 8 years old, and now he's who he is at Utah. I'm like, man, and then it's just a beautiful feeling. It feels like family every time I do come up there.
But do you have enough accountability in this program? Because the great Lendale White, a guy I know pretty well at USC, tweeted directly at Lincoln Riley the other day. Did you see that?
No.
So they go down to the Cotton Bowl, and they lose to Tulane. USC does.
Yeah, Tulane.
Yep. And so Lendale White, was part of some of the greatest teams ever at USC, said that bend don't break S that you brought from OU ain't gonna cut it. Like, calling out Lincoln Riley's defense. Wow. Now, I'm not saying that's probably the tone I would use.
Yeah.
But is there that level of accountability? Because it seems like in Utah, there's a bit of apathy. We went to the Rose Bowl. It was a good year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, is there accountability on that level at Utah, do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it is. I see over the years, Coach Witt is starting to let the offense be more fluorescent. Before what we were doing. It was going to run the ball. If it was 3rd and 7 or more, we're going to throw at the sticks and then continue to run the ball. Now we're getting some flavor to the offense. It's starting to throw the ball. Do different type of plays where there's jet sweep, different formation, motion. So we're adding some stuff to the offense. Something that kind of like kept us one-minded. And so I feel like he's growing. He's letting the new era develop around him. You are still going to have a strong defense. Special teams hasn't been where it usually is at, which was probably one of the areas we're going to have to take into account next year. But defense is always going to be strong. Special teams is going to get better. Offensively with Cam, Keithy coming back, we can still see it's going to be there with the recruits coming in and JC guys. I think we're going to be pretty good this year. But there is accountability, and I think he understands that with the new game nowadays, you have to put up points, and so he's allowing the offense to do a lot of different things, as we can see.
I think Cam Rising's one of the most interesting figures in this program right now. But the timing of this injury, and obviously this thing's lingered a little bit now, and I know he had a similar injury early in high school, but I mean, you tore your ACL, man. You're going to have surgery now. Like, you're talking for him, hopefully it's 9 months, but that's 9, 10, 11, 12 months, man. That puts you past next season. Like, they're going to have to, with all due respect to Bryson, I think they're going to have to go out and get a quarterback.
And that's big kudos to Bryson too. The way he's been able to step in. I know when he stepped into the game and he threw his first pass, I think it was like a drop or something like that. But that wasn't on him. But I like the confidence in which he has. I feel like he's going to earn himself a scholarship here within the upcoming year, or sooner in spring ball. But we have Nate Johnson. The kid has been fantastic. Very explosive. And I'm sure they're going to be recruiting for probably another quarterback just to solidify that group, especially since Jaquindon Jackson is now full-time running back, full-time. So I think they're going to go out and find another recruiter. So especially with the lingering issue with Cam Rising coming from the Rose Bowl onto this new year.
Kenny, you got to get Jaquindon Jackson the football. Like, I don't know how, but that kid's just to be a quarterback, then to take the running back spot and I think he flourished. I thought he did way better than I thought he would do. Like, that Mackay transferred is in the port. Like, to me, that says, hey, there's a lot of competition there. I'm a graduate kid. I need to go get reps. Like, I think that running back room at Utah, there's going to be some heat there, and I want to see what Jaquindon can do.
Yeah, especially with those, because I was watching film on those 2 4-star running backs. I was like, man, we got some good guys coming in, and we got JJ, and we got Glover in there too, and Chris Curry comes back. I said, oh my God. So it's going to be a very talented group. And so when I look at that, especially when you look at our receiver room, I heard Devon Velez thinking about leaving because he's getting older. Might try a shot at the NFL. Solomon Enos is gone. J.D. Dixon's gone. Munir McClain moved to tight end. So
you got any eligibility left?
I wish, man. There's this guy from Oregon that had 9 years of eligibility or 8 or something like that. I said, what?
We can throw you a fade to the pylon. Let's go.
Like, give it to me. Let me stretch this hammy real quick, man.
We need Guy Holiday yelling at you to high point the ball at the pylon. That's what we need in this world.
Man, speaking of that, it's crazy. I wonder if he'll come back, being at the vacancies there with the wide receiver coach moving to Mississippi State. I wonder, what they're thinking about.
We just talked to him a couple of months ago now. He was not healthy when he left. He went through some stuff. When Guy left Utah, he went through some stuff. He's ready to go. He's in I think he told us he's in Scottsdale. Like, he's ready to go. I would not be surprised to see him come back. College foot, that guy makes men, dude. I'm a big Guy Holiday dude.
Me too.
I think he makes men. I'd love to see him come back.
What's crazy? It was at the bowl game where we played him in 2015, and he came up to me right after, before the game. It was just, chatting it up with me. I'm like, man, this dude is cool, interacting with me. It was just having some good discussion. I'm like, man, that's the type of guy you want to play for. He's a really good dude.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you carving out some time. It was really good to see you. I appreciate your smiling. I appreciate your energy, and I'm just thrilled to see you, man. I really enjoyed the time, the very little time, obviously, that I got to spend with you when you were at Utah, but it's just really good to see you, Kenny. I'm glad you're doing well.
Oh, man, appreciate it so much, man. Thank you for having me on. Go Utes. Don't bash us too hard, man. Give us some love.
Come on, you're going to give us a U? Come on, you're going to give us a U. Hey, there we go. Kenny, I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Take care.
There we go. Kenny Scott. Man, how do you not love that guy? Like, I told you.
Awesome.
I told you that's the guy you got to have on.
Yeah.
That's the guy you got to have on because he's spectacular.
Yeah.
And very clearly he supports Kyle Whittingham, and I'm glad to hear it.
Yep.
I am glad to hear it. And the thing is, I talked to 3-4 Ute alums yesterday. They're all plugged into the program.
Did you hear what he said?
What's that?
Brant's going to be back.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Confirmation. Keithy's coming back,
Keithy's coming back, dude.
Which is big.
So that tells me that the boys are coming back, which is exciting.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's great. Hey, look, duck season's here.
Duck
season's here. Hey, good to see you. He says, Utah, what happened? They didn't play well, man. They didn't play well. He said, poverty. Guess never heard of him. Get a Bo Nix on. Yeah, well, exactly right. Exactly right. What a fantastic attitude on life, Ken. He has, he seems like a good guy. He is.
Yeah.
And Kenny Scott's just the guy that you want to be around. That's the guy that you want to, if you're not in a good mood around Ken Scott, I don't know that you'll ever be in a good mood. I really don't. Like it is, yeah. Oh, Lopes fan Gabe, I should have asked, is K Scott a drum or a flat guy?
Damn.
Exactly right. Exactly. What did you guys think of the interview?
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic. I think he is. Yeah, Riley, I agree. Excellent interview with K. Scott. Thank you. I mean, he's that salt of the earth guy. And when we were talking about this yesterday, and we'll chop this up, by the way, and put it up on the highlights part of our channel today after the show. But you listen to Ken Scott, the guy's he's awesome. He's awesome. And it is so good to hear energy and enthusiasm. And it's good to hear Cam and Keithy are coming back. And hopefully Keithy can be, you know, he obviously he's had a lot more run up to rehab. Hopefully Cam could get back and contributing for next year. I don't know if that's the case or not, but you know, talking with Raphael says interview was great. Thank you. Kurt Meyer says, didn't Duck Season say he is a she? That was never really clarified.
It was never confirmed.
It was never clarified.
By the way, Duck Season, we do have a membership program now.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen, man, we can give you a payment plan because now we have membership, Duck Season. If you want to become a member,
if you were to join today, you'd have your bill paid off by the end of the year. So you're good.
$9.99 a month. All you got to do is subscribe. You know, it is. I'm just telling you. Let me put the link in there. Copy link address. I know how to do this, guys. I'm a full-grown adult now.
An adult.
There you go. There's the link to join our membership program. Hook it up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Get it done.
You know, that'll pay that off.
Program.
I don't know. Duck Season, maybe you can clarify. Are you a man or are you a woman? And I know you keep talking about how hot Jake is.
Right.
Go ahead and single up for you there.
Thanks.
Duck Season. I'll give you your minute of fame.
Yeah.
So there you go. What a great interview with Ken Scott. Just really good to see him. The Monty Show presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, of course, are guys at The Advocates. Talk about somebody that's known the show for a long time. Matt Driggs has supported this show since our days at KFan back in 2013. Just really appreciate the guys at The Advocates, and they're going to support you too. They're the best injury attorneys in the business because they understand that when you've been in an accident, it's one of the most difficult times in your life. That's why you need somebody that'll think clearly for you. That's why you need somebody who's going to say, hey, that person that hit you was on a cell phone. You deserve to be compensated for that. They don't charge you any consultation fees. They don't charge you any money out of pocket. In fact, they're going to help you defer your medical bills so you can concentrate on getting healthy. You don't pay The Advocates until they win your case. At theadvocates.com, there's a little button on their website that says chat with an attorney 24/7 at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. A couple more before we get to, let's see. Duck Season says, I will only give money if guarantees me one-on-one time with the famous Jake.
Yeah, you know, I need confirmation one way or the other first, and I still can't confirm.
Greg Hawkins, who's a member of the show, says, liar, poor, didn't even go to Oregon.
I've been a rich man, and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
He's a T-shirt fan. Yeah. Let's go, Hawkins. He's a T-shirt fan.
Well done.
Jaron Eccles says the Advocates are for real. I used them because of the show, and they were nothing but amazing to work with. Wow.
See, there you go.
That's awesome. Appreciate that. Let's see. Duck Season, I guess poverty you does fit me since I can't give $9.99 a month. So you're right. Hey, man. You know what? Dave, if you can't give $9.99 a month, that's totally fine, man. We appreciate you being here, supporting the show, clicking the like button. Let's go. Where are we at on the like button? Well over 1,000 views today, and we're only at 72 likes. Please go ahead and crush that like button while we talk about pornography.
Right.
How about this story today, you guys? So Jake apparently, and listen, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to speak out of turn for you in your personal life.
Right.
But you apparently follow the Pornhub news cycle.
Right.
Because there was a story that came out from the great state of Louisiana. Louisiana now requires that if you are going to watch pornography, that you provide proof of age.
Yes.
By giving them your driver's license.
Right.
And I'm curious.
Right.
Who's the idiot that's going to be like, oh, yeah, I watch Pornhub. Here's my driver's license to prove it.
Right.
Is there anybody that's doing this?
Now, I want to show this. We have a video here, right?
Yeah.
From the article. They did a screen recording video of what this looks like. So you go to the site, and Pornhub basically gives you this thing where they say, hey, we have to do this. But the thing here is your information won't be stored, like blah, 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 whatever. And then you get to this screen where you have to verify your age, and you got to put in your information. And they're very explicit about saying, hey, we're not going to store your information. And I don't buy it.
No.
That's the whole point of this.
This is such an invasion of privacy. Now, obviously, if you've watched this show, you know I'm a big believer that pornography is the great destroyer of men.
Right.
I just don't believe that men, especially those in marriages or relationships, should be watching pornography. I think it is really bad for you. And I think if you're an adolescent, I think it's terrible for your mental health.
Right.
Please do not watch pornography. But if you're going to watch pornography in Louisiana, please do not give them your driver's license information.
So now what are people going to do?
They're going to go give them their driver's license.
No, they're going to get a VPN.
That's probably what they're going to do.
They're going to do that.
It's ridiculous that you are invading people's privacy. And again, even though I am not an advocate for the adult, content industry, I am not in any way, shape, or form. I am an advocate for my privacy and your privacy and our privacy as Americans. We have an expectation of privacy, and I don't care what the fine print says. Well, never store your information. Go ahead and put it in real quick.
Look here, man.
They're going to store your information.
Yeah.
And I just would never encourage you to do this. Again, I would encourage you not to watch pornography.
Well, and that's kind of what my take was. Like, I agree on the privacy stuff, but I also agree, hey, this wouldn't be a problem if you weren't watching that kind of content. And I'm not judging you, but that's just what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't see how that happens, dude. I really don't. What do you mean, Salty Drunk? Salty Drunk says, all right, finally. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. Jake would be the corn researcher. Makes sense. Okay. MH5 says, sounds like the Louisiana residents need VPN service that can show them in another state, LOL. I mean, isn't that the only way around it? Because it just doesn't seem like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you there are going to be dudes with big, thick forearms that are going to be like, oh, yeah, let me get my driver's license. You're dumb. You're dumb. Don't do it. Don't. I am a big fan. This is why I don't use a debit card, ever. Ever. I never use a debit card because I'm not going to allow you to steal my life. I am not going to give you at the chip reader at the Shell station access to my debit card. I'm not doing that. It's why I don't put in my credit card information online. I use Apple Pay like San Diego State was saying the other day.
Yeah.
Like it just feels foolish to me.
Yeah.
Jaron Eccles, who's a member of the program, says, I mean, we're talking about Louisiana here. I don't hear there's much they don't want, they wouldn't do to watch. Yeah, probably. Dave says, do they have internet there? Okay, so wait, is this one of those things where we believe that Louisiana's like the bush? Like
wait, is that a euphemism or is it?
Why? Well, down here in Louisiana, we got crawdads and swamps. What's an erection? We don't have those. We have crawfish.
Down here in Louisiana, we are the king of soaking.
Is that? Oh my God. Wow. But is that where we are? I guess we are. Kurt Myers says Bishop Monty. No, I'm serious though. Listen, I'm not a member. I'm just telling you. If you are watching pornography, I think you create unrealistic expectations for yourself. Scammer Trolling says, heck yeah. Dave says Monty for apostle.
Right.
Richard McDonald says Bishop Monty, LOL. Talking with Raphael says, I can see teens getting mom's or dad's ID to watch it. Oh, boy.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, seriously, Coach. Tom says, need a fake ID for porn there.
Yeah.
Are you going to that length to watch pornography?
We built this program on NIL.
Is that what you're doing?
You built this program on fake IDs.
Is that what you're doing? Jeremy Bolton says, Jake, no. Exactly. Matt Ritson, you lucky football referee for beating USC twice. That must have been it.
You like how duck season never is actually talking about what we're talking about. Like, we're having a conversation about Pornhub in Louisiana, and dude is over here talking about a football coach.
The mayor of Montytown, who's also a member of the program, says you called Tanner's bat signal by saying soaking. No.
Program.
To which Salty Drunk says, is this where we bring Tanner in?
We really did.
That's amazing. Jaron Eccles says, NordVPN about to blow up in sales in Louisiana. Seriously. I don't know, man. I think it's just one of those things where, are you this desperate? Are you this desperate?
I do think there are people out there that are that desperate. Yes.
You do?
I think there are people out there who are that desperate. Yes, I do.
Well, a lot of people say that pornography is an addiction. And
well, there's no doubt. Yeah, I mean, there's no question it's addictive. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you argue with that because it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason it's successful. I would love to know what the politicians in Louisiana are doing with this, because you can't tell me they're doing it out of the grace of their hearts. That's not how politicians work. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing it for a reason. There is a reason that you want people to do this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting so much positive feedback on the Kenny Scott interview.
Let's go.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys sending me messages. And a former Ute player who wishes to remain anonymous says, awesome interview. Always did love Kenny Scott. Appreciate that. Yeah, he's awesome. I don't know. I just can't see you doing. I can't see buying a VPN for this is ridiculous. Fat Jesus says, do what I do. Watch from your coworker's computer when he goes to lunch. Good Lord. Good Lord. Duck Season says, what is soaking? Can Jake show me? All right. Maury Alvarez, who's a member, says, I have been with the show since you were talking possible BYU to the Big 12. There you go. Hey, how'd that work out?
Yeah.
Dave says, for real, though, if you struggle with porn, look for help. Such a freeing thing to be rid of. It's real, dude.
Yeah.
It is real,
bro.
It is real. MH5 says, so this affect OnlyFans? Yes, it does.
I think it does.
For any adult material in the state of Louisiana, you have to provide proof of age, or you cannot view it. It's crazy. Justin Salas says, porn is definitely an addiction. It's been proven by science. Follow the science.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that I would be really curious to know why the politicians got into this. Like, they never do things for no reason.
Yeah, they never do things for no reason. I mean, it's just not. I'm curious, like, because it doesn't generate revenue.
Yeah,
you would think. Like, I just don't know what this. Is this truly where, and why don't we have this in Utah? Why do we not have this in Utah?
Well, because it's nobody watches porn in Utah. That would go against the code here.
Dave says, off topic, but did Cam Rising tear his ACL? Yeah, we broke the news on the show yesterday. Not that I'm trying to celebrate, but yes, Cam Rising did in fact tear his ACL. There is significant concern about the other structural issues in his knee.
I think that's hip.
This has been a long-term injury for him, and he did tear his ACL. It was a non-contact injury, and then he got hit. If you go back and watch the hit where Cam leaves the game, he goes to push off that leg. He kicks himself in the heel, and that knee just kind of, and then he gets hit by those guys, tore his ACL, and when you hear other structural issues, usually that's another ligament or cartilage damage. And I can't confirm that it's cartilage damage because only one person told me that, but 3 sources at Utah told me that he tore his ACL, and there's real concern that it's going to be a 12-month injury, which tells me he has significant cartilage damage.
Yeah.
So let's see. Talking with Raphael podcast says, I heard OnlyFans made $4.5 billion. Stop it.
Yeah, dude.
There's no chance.
I'll look it up.
Look at that. That's crazy. Can I make first order of business at the first member AGM to ban Duck? You can. You can. If you ban Duck, will he come back with one of his 4 burners? I saw him trolling other channels before. When they banned him, he used another account. You know.
The content creators at OnlyFans made about $4 billion in 2022, and OnlyFans profit on that is $433 million, which was up from $61 million in 2021.
They made $433 million in profit at
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And creators booked $4.5 billion.
Yeah.
My God. Dude. Yeah, that's craziness, dude. That is crazy. MH5 says VPN can help get NFL games. Change your location to make it local. Yeah. Yeah, man. That many people go to only $4.5 billion content creators at OnlyFans.
What are you forgetting? It's a monthly thing. You can pay monthly, so it's recurring.
And then you forget about it.
And you forget about it. That's right.
Hey, look at that. San Diego State is our newest member. Appreciate you, San Diego State. Thanks for being here. Make sure, hey, again, if you guys joined our membership today, we launched membership, joining by membership for the channel today. Make sure you DM us on Instagram. Jake is SLC Jake on all social media, so Twitter or Instagram, but DM him on Instagram. You can DM me on Instagram, The Monty Show, MONTY The Monty Show. DM us. We'll put you in the members-only Instagram group on Instagram today. So let's make sure we do that.
I've already added a couple people. I added SLCP Shooter. I added NW Piper. I added Eric Rogers.
Nice. Appreciate that. Richard McDonald says Utah is #1 for porn, so probably most people on this chat. Is that true? Utah's #1 for pornography.
Wow.
That's crazy. Scammer Trolling says OnlyFans should be investigated. There's a huge gender wage gap there. It ain't right. I don't know anything about that. I don't know. Fat Jesus says OnlyFans made that much money. Time to bring Mrs. Monty in more regularly. Justin Salas, who's a member of the show, says we need to get a Super Soaker members badge. Maybe we do.
Yeah.
Maybe we do. We need to up our membership badge game. We will do that for sure. MH5 says OnlyFans turning the girl next door into a star.
Yep.
It does. Like,
it's true.
It's
true.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. $4.5 billion.
Yeah.
That's nutty to me. I don't know what the... I don't know, man. That's $4.5 billion.
It's a lot of money, bro.
Dude.
Yeah, man.
All right. Couple other topics I'm going to get to before we get out of here. Let's talk about your zodiac sign. So do you read your horoscope ever? Are you a zodiac sign guy?
Not really. No. Not too much.
So I'm a huge fan of the food blog Eat This, Not That.
Right.
They put out an article yesterday, your favorite fast food chain according to your zodiac sign. What are you? You're
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. You are Taco Bell.
Don't you know who I am?
It says Sagittariuses enjoy living a carefree life with an abundance of surprises and drizzle of passion.
Drizzle.
Is that your OnlyFans bio?
I guess so.
If you want to satisfy a Sagittarius, duck season, take some notes. If you want to satisfy a Sagittarius, think hot and spicy with a lot of layers. That's Taco Bell. Where are you at on Taco Bell, bro?
Nah, dude. I'm done with Taco Bell. That thing almost killed me.
I agree. How about a Pisces? I am a Pisces, February 19th. Pisces are known for overthinking and constantly letting their imagination get the best of them. That's pretty accurate, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts is exactly what this sensitive water sign needs to stay grounded. I do love me some Dunkin'.
Yeah.
I do love
Donuts.
me some Dunkin'. Aquarius says Jamba Juice. Oh, geez. Capricorn is McDonald's as one of the determined and hardworking signs on the list. Capricorn likes to keep things simple and orderly as a way to stick to their transactional nature. The iconic Big Mac is Capricorn's go-to burger.
Yeah, take it. See ya.
No way. Nobody's go-to burger is a Big Mac.
Okay, so
Nobody.
how often, so where are you guys at on horoscopes and your signs?
Couple times a month I read my Pisces horoscope.
Okay.
I don't take it seriously.
Well,
couple times a month.
Yeah.
How about Scorpio? Scorpio cannot deny their sweet tooth or the fun in having a little bit of a dark side. That's why Dairy Queen allows Scorpios to heavily indulge themselves. Scorpios like Dairy Queen.
Scorpio.
Libras like Panera Bread.
Facts.
You're boring.
Facts.
Life is all about balance and harmony for Libras, so they will usually make their way to a local Panera Bread to be satisfied.
Yeah.
That is awesome. My wife, Mrs. Monty, is a Virgo, and this one's spot on. Sarku Japan Teriyaki and Sushi Express. It requires utensils and a very particular taste bud palate. Mrs. Monty.
Yeah.
That's perfect. How about Leo's, who like California Pizza Kitchen? Get a mortgage because that place is expensive. Cancers love IHOP. They're often complicated with a range of emotions and layers in their personalities.
Duck season.
IHOP screams cancer vibes. Wow, that's a loaded statement. Gemini, also McDonald's. The bright golden arches of this world-renowned chain perfectly reflect Gemini's dualistic nature. Do you guys buy into water signs and stuff?
Water signs.
MH5 says, Monty, you should write a daily horoscope for your viewers. I probably should.
Something like that.
Justin Salas says, I think I speak for all Scorpios. DQ is one of the worst fast food joints. Keaton Critchlow, the Scorpio had a correct breakdown, just the wrong fast food restaurant. Jaron Eccles says, Monty, when is your birthday? My birthday is February 19th. I will be 50 years old. We are planning a members-only bash.
Yes, we are.
For my birthday. Indeed. Fat Jesus says, horoscopes are science. Fact. Okay. Macho man. I'm a Capricorn, and McDonald's is toxic waste. It is. It absolutely is. Greg Hawkins, hey, Duck Season, what's your name? Real name?
Yeah, come on. Cough it up.
Yeah, cough it up. Lopes fan Gabe says, IHOP is complicated. No, it's not.
No,
exactly.
Endless tall stacks, bro.
Lopes up, baby. Exactly right. Exactly right. Duck Season says, my real name is Katie Dixon. No chance. Your real name is not Katie Dixon. There's no way. And finally this morning on the show, can we talk about Equinox, the gym? What do you make of resolutioners?
I think it's a gimmick. I think people do it to feel better about themselves. I'm not a resolutioner. I know I haven't worked out in too long of a time and probably should work out at some point, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to work out every day for 100 days. It's not how life works.
So Equinox, the high-end gym, has banned memberships on January 1st, which means you could not sign up January 1st. You could You could January 2nd, and you could December 31st, but they would not take a new membership on January 1st. And it's because they say that New Year's resolutions are bad for you. And they talk about things like, hey, what January 1st represents is I can't start working out until I get a new outfit.
Do you even lift?
Hey, I'm going to wait for January. Hey, I'm gonna.
All right, bro. Have a nice day. Didn't mean nothing by it.
But how many times have we talked about this on this show?
Yeah.
If you were waiting for January 1st, you're probably not going to follow through. Resolutions are terrible for you.
This is corny stuff.
If you're saying to yourself, well, February 1st, I'm going to give up sugar, then why are you not giving it up today? How many times have we done Monday, I'm going to really get my diet in check? How many times have we done that? And then you're like, well, I'll start next Monday.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
And then it never happens.
Right.
I love what Equinox did here. And I know that all the other gyms jumped on them for this and said that they were being biased against people who had confidence issues and body image issues. To hell with that. What they were doing was trying to send a message that those kind of narratives in the fitness industry are terrible for you.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing that you have in this world on a daily basis is the relationship you have with yourself. And when you do this thing where you're like, well, Monday, hey, in January, that's why dry January is complete garbage. Because you and I both know you're not getting through January dry.
Yeah.
You and I both know that if you work out for the first 3 days of January, you're going to be incredibly sore and you're probably not going back to the gym because you were embarrassed that you were fat in your stretch pants.
Right.
That's what New Year's resolutions perpetuate. And when you start going to the gym on January 1st and the place is crawling and you feel like you're being stared at and you're uncomfortable, why are you going to go back on January 2nd?
Fat!
You're not. But if you start today, if you start moving today right where you're at, go take a walk. Get 5,000 steps a day. Just start with 5,000 steps a day and promise yourself, I'm going to get 5,000 steps a day. How are you going to do that? Well, instead of going to the powder room in my living room, I'm going to walk upstairs and go to the bathroom in my bedroom. Or I'm going to walk downstairs and go to the bathroom in my basement.
Yep.
It's the little things, man. And that's why I love this Equinox thing. And I saved it for last because I'm so passionate about this. I am a huge believer that we cannot have fully functioning relationships with the people who are important in our lives without having a good relationship with ourselves. And you can't have a good relationship with yourself if you keep breaking those promises. Every time you say to yourself, I'm going to give up sugar, and then you have a donut, what happens? You're such a fat ass, man. Why did I eat that? You start that negative talk in your head. And what does that do? That erodes your relationship with yourself.
You are fake.
So when you set yourself up to fail by saying, well, hey, it's Thanksgiving. I can't wait for January because I'm getting right. I'm losing weight. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to cut out sugar. Well, why don't you do that today? Why don't you make a better choice with your next meal instead of waiting for your first meal in January?
Yeah.
That's the thing that drives me crazy. That's why I love this Equinox story so much. And we talked about it the other day, and people really loved it. People really loved it, that you have the ability every single day to make better choices. It's interesting to me that on this show, and that's why the Instagram group is such an important part of the membership thing that we're offering, because there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, really appreciate you guys. And I say it every day on the show, but you hear it every day, so it comes less meaningful, right? So we want to give you different ways. Like I tell my wife every single day, hey, I love you. Hey, see you this afternoon. Like I leave my bedroom every morning at 4:15. Either 4:14 or 4:15, I walk out my bedroom door every day. And the last thing I do before I walk out of my bedroom is I kiss my wife goodbye. Whether she remembers it or not, it doesn't matter, right? Those little things make a huge difference. And again, I would tell you, I'm gonna text my wife right now and do it with me. Text the important person in your life. Pick up your phone and do it. I'm telling you. I'm going to text my wife right now and I'm going to say, hey, love you. Have a great day. Love you. Have a great day. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. I really appreciated the other day when we did that. Like 3, 4, 5 people sent me notes about how, hey, I did it with you on the show. I texted somebody and I said, hey, have it. This one particular girl said, I texted my best friend. I hadn't talked to her in 3 weeks. They're both in advertising. One of them lives in Los Angeles. The other one lives in Tennessee. And they just hadn't had a chance to catch up. And so she texted her and said, hey, hope you're having a good day. Let's catch up. Love you. Is what she sent me a screen grab of it. And her friend said, hey, man, I'm so glad you reached out to me because I lost my dog last night. And I'm just destroyed over it. Like she said something like, I'm ruined over it today. And I need to talk. Do you have 5 minutes? And they got out on the phone. They talked for like 2 hours. And her dog, by the way, while they were on the phone, she said to her, hey, well, did you call the police department? And the girl said, no, I wouldn't call the police for a lost dog. Called the police department. Guess who had her dog? One of the cops had her dog in the back of a car. Like it's those little things that just like set off energy or set off like a thought process in your head. And I'm telling you, whether it's your wife, your brother, your son, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your friend from college, text them and say, hey, I'm thinking about you today. Hope you're having a great day. Let's catch up. And I guarantee you will get a message back. They'll be like, yeah, you too. Have a good day. Or, hey, yeah, why don't we catch up? Or, it makes a huge difference. It really does. Greg Hawkins and Duck Season are having like an epic argument here.
Yeah.
It's fine. Jeremy Bolton says, agreed. My brother-in-law is a huge Ducks fan. Straight up good dude. Ducks fans are not bad people. It's people like Ducks Season that makes it hard to be a Ducks fan or like Ducks fans. I have a friend from Utah, and he's a really cool. He is really cool down there. He's an above-average Ute fan. I think you guys have to understand that that's what it is. You're just trolling. Just a heads up that nobody has to wait for Uncle Mont to ban someone. Click the vertical ellipse next to anyone's comment, and you can click block to make them go away. You can.
Yeah. You know what you're getting. Okay.
Why are you giving fuel to somebody like Duck Season?
You know that Duck Season's going to come in here and be a little zesty with me and then be a troll to everybody else. You know that. That's just the brand. Like, it just is what it is. Like, that's why I say, like, love you, Greg. But you don't need to pay no attention to that. That's cool.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Jeremy Bolton says, as mayor, our first decree as members of Monty Town is to bring back Grocock and publicly shame him for stealing the Xbox. I'll reach out to him. I have his phone number. I'll reach out to him. The Macho Man says, I want to become a member, but YouTube won't let me ever since I moved. My card keeps getting declined. Need to call the bank and figure out what's wrong. There you go. There you go. Greg Hawkins says, I'll never block ducks. I agree.
Raphael.
Yes.
Put a picture in our casuals getting cut group of the text thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent a text that said, love you, have a great day. And then the person, whoever he was texting, I don't know who this is, was like, was that for me? And he said, well, who else? LOL. So it's funny how you sometimes get different responses than you're expecting.
It's crazy. And I know that we don't often spend time thinking about this. But do you guys ever think about the impact you have on the people that are in your life? Like, I know I'm a lot. I'm a lot to deal with. I can be a pain in the ass. Jake's trying to sleep in the car yesterday on the way home, and I'm being a complete cock about it. Like, I can be a lot.
Whatever.
But I also go out of my way to try and not be a lot. And I wonder, how much do you guys think about the impact you have on the people in your life? I don't think we do much. I don't think we do. What would a text mean from you to your mom today, if you're lucky enough to have your mom around, or your dad, or whoever? What would a text from you saying, hey, I'm just thinking about you, hope you're doing well, or hey, how you doing? Just say, hey, it's Joe, how you doing? Or hey, mom, how you doing today? Hey, dad, how you doing today? Hey, how's your day going? Do you know what that text would mean? What would your impact be on that person? That's something I think we don't think about enough.
Right.
That is because we talked about the other day that one of the things I really hate about politics in this country is that we've stopped or lost the ability to consider somebody else's feelings. And it's one of the things that really bothers me, because every one of us matters. Like, our feelings all matter. Our opinions are all valid. Our feelings are all valid. If you're pissed about something that I'm laughing at, that doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong, or vice versa. We're all individual people. We don't look at our neighbor like that. You know, like we don't. Like one of our neighbors, like he was out of town and his wife was trying to deal with their child, who's a toddler now. But she couldn't leave the house because the toddler was sick and they needed medicine from the drugstore. And so he reached out to my wife and he's like, hey, I'd really appreciate it if you could. Of course. So we ran down to the drugstore. Like, how often do we think about that stuff? Like the fact that our neighbor would think enough of us to say, hey, can you run down to the drugstore for my wife? Like, she's in a tough spot. Absolutely, we'll do that. Absolutely. That's what we're supposed to be about. Not because, well, I'm not going to do that because you're a Democrat or a liberal or a neocon, or I'm going to say yes because you're my neighbor.
Yeah.
And I respect you, even if you are a Democrat or even if you are a Republican. I respect you. But we don't do that. So the idea that we can send a text and impact somebody, I think is really significant. You know, like it is. It really is meaningful. It really is meaningful. San Diego State says, you're so extra, Monty. I can be. Honest to God, I can be a pain in the... Jake will tell you. I think I've told you.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate that you put up with my bullshit sometimes, because I can be a lot.
Yeah, you do say that.
I can be a lot. I can be. I most times I have a ton of energy. 9 days out of 10, he does not.
Right.
9 days out of 10, Jake gets into my car in the morning and he's crabby. We're on our way home yesterday and he's dozing off in the car. It's like, okay, that's cool. You know, we had an argument in the car yesterday about turning on Spence's show. He's like, come on, dude.
Not in the mood.
Like, turn on Howard. Like, he wanted to listen. What was it the other day? Turn on Howard. I'd rather listen to replays than listen to this.
No, what happened is that we were driving. We needed to drop a package off. We were both hungry and not wanting to drop the package off.
Correct.
Right? We were not in the mood to do something not in the routine, but we needed to do it because Mrs. Monty asked us to, which is fine. So we go to the UPS store, and it turns out it's a FedEx package. We just missed that small detail on the label. It's on us, but nevertheless, or whatever, it's still frustrating. So we got to drive down Bangor all the way down to 134th, which really isn't all the way down there. It's like a 5-minute drive. I get back in the car after dropping the package off, and you have Spence on, and they made some reference to Mekhi Bernard being in the transfer portal.
Yes.
And you're like, who's in the transfer portal? And I'm not even listening to the radio. That's literally how much I don't enjoy listening to that show. Like, it could be on, and I'm not going to listen to it. And so your phone is open, and it was on Twitter. Like, your phone, you were just like, Twitter was on your phone. So I grab your phone, and you're like, dude, you're like in some other world. They're talking about it on the radio. And I'm like, I don't care, dude. Who cares?
Yeah.
We shouldn't even be listening to this. Like, that's where...
Man, you hate local radio.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Here, it's not good.
Like, we can, like... I'll catch you for not being prepared to talk about a soccer topic, but you're never going to catch me not prepared to talk about the Jazz or the Utes or BYU or, like, the major stuff. And that's what really bothers me. Spence rolls out on a show yesterday, and again, we don't need to turn this into this again, but it's just beat writer, guess. And I'm just not, that's just not what I enjoy listening to. That doesn't make his show terrible. It's just not what I would be listening to. Sometimes it's nice to just turn on Howard and get some dude talking about some ridiculous thing because it's satellite radio.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it is, I just recognize that I can be a pain in the ass. And I think we all have to recognize that. And I try to. I absolutely try to. Like, I intentionally screw the words up to songs, and it pisses Jake off.
What is Dallin asking about right there? Right in the middle above Greg Hawkins.
Jake always holding the mic so that he doesn't fall over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to sit for three and a half hours.
It is very difficult. It is very difficult. Facts. Help and respect each other's differences. Victor Rudolph Ferrer says.
Yeah, and so, like, I'm the type of guy who's not going to complain, right? Like, I'm not going to complain about the fact that we're listening to something that I don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
But don't be upset with me when I'm half asleep because I don't enjoy what we're listening to.
Greg Hawkins says, I hate duck season. Can we just ban him? I mean, I don't know, you guys. Do we really want to do we want to ban people? I don't think we want to be banning people. I just, we'll see. Let's see. What is the Blue Star? It's membership.
Yeah.
It's membership.
Dallin, you should explain one more time. Dallin just opted in.
Okay, so what membership is, you can now join the show, and I just put the link in there again. We are offering membership to our channel now. It is $10 a month, and for that, you get exclusive videos on YouTube, and you also get access to our Instagram members-only group where we will talk about sports all day, watch Jazz games together. You get members-only contests. You get early access to our merch lines. Like, you get all kinds of perks and stuff for supporting the show. Again, it's $10 a month. And, the thing that I would express to you is that it's just another way of connecting with you guys. And I get it. It's $10 a month. You probably have a million other memberships. But the thing that's different about our membership is we truly are going to deliver you exclusive content. Every day, 5 days a week during the show, you're going to get an exclusive upload to YouTube. You have 24/7 access to our Instagram group. And what that Instagram group's about is not only, hey, member-only prize giveaways, not only, hey, breaking news, we're about to tweet that this is happening, or, hey, you get 5 times the entry for every one of somebody who's a non-member in our contests. So you get a lot of perks out of it, but you also gain access to a tremendous community. So tonight when the Jazz are in Houston playing the Rockets, we're all going to sit around if you want, and, hey, we'll message back and forth about what's happening on the Jazz game, or what's happening, hey, Mekhi Bernard's in the portal. Hey, did you hear Ken Scott on Monty Show today said, Brant Keithy's coming back? Like, all of those things, we just chat about that stuff all the time. Hey, I'm feeling a little down today. Who's got something good to say to me? Hey, we can, all that stuff. It's a community. That's why we do it. So if you would like to join, just go ahead and click the link. All you have to do is you'll see it's a pretty quick form. And yeah, it's awesome. Let's see. Monty, that wasn't me. So, okay. So why are we doing this stuff? See, this is what I don't understand. Why are we, and now we're going to have to put you in timeout. I don't understand why we do stuff like this. We create fake accounts, or, you know, like, let's just not. Are we not better than that? Are we not better than this? That we're creating clone accounts. Now I do have to block duck season. Now I do have to block duck season, and that's frustrating. You know, like it is super annoying.
Yeah.
And all of this over one guy. And see, this is, you guys have never seen me do this, but right now, we just block duck season. And we don't take that lightly. It's not something that we do. You do not make fake accounts and abuse your privileges on this show.
Yeah.
We just don't do that. And you don't create fake accounts. And listen, Greg, if he comes back, dude, and we'll do our best to make sure that doesn't happen. You know, like, and I apologize. I get it. I banned him. Fat Jesus says, we have all reflected and agree you are a lot, Monty. I am a lot. I am a lot. Wait, did you just call me fat? I think he just called me fat. He did cross the line. The mayor says creating fake accounts is crossing the line.
Agreed.
I agree. Greg says he will be back. He has 4 burner accounts at least.
Fat.
We'll deal with it. Ryan P says Ducks was painfully boring. Thanks. You're welcome. We don't ever. I think that's the first time we've ever banned anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty committed to not banning people, but I agree with you guys making fake accounts, and it's just we don't have time for it.
Yeah, that level of abuse is just not going to cut it.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our membership program. If you would like to join, click the link in the chat, or I know on mobile, which is where 9 out of 10 people watch us on mobile YouTube, there is not a join button. If you want the link, just hit me on Twitter or Instagram, The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show. No, Driftwood didn't get banned.
No, he's just not here. Driftwood did not
get banned.
Yeah.
No, or what's his name? Ruff's official didn't get banned. It's this community that we have built on this show. You're going to have to really work hard to not be liked on this show. Like, we have, I think our group of viewers every day, this little thing that we have, it's pretty easy to get along in here. When you roll in here and start creating fake accounts, when you roll in here and start abusing people, you're not going to be here. You're either going to get weeded out, or, I mean, you're just not going to want to be here, because it's just not, that's not what this is about. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Justin Salas says, I mean, you didn't even ban the trucker who was sending messages while driving. Your commitment to not banning is awesome.
Yeah, well, Driftwood.
That's Driftwood. Exactly. You know, let's see. Crazy that if Greg wasn't a member, green text, blue star, there wouldn't be an obvious way to know he wasn't being impersonated. Greg's a friend of mine. Greg would have, I guess, DM'd me. I know Greg pretty well.
But again, I think it's a fair point, though. Like, I like Greg's been a member, you know, in the membership program for a day now, because it's only been available for a day. And that just pointed it out.
Can I ban Jeremy Bolton for criticizing Alex Caruso so much? Like, that is my soulmate, and he is harassing my soulmate. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Let's go. Sussy Impasta says, no, I would never be a Duck fan. I am a proud supporter of Utah football. Jeremy says, hey, this might be the most chaotic I've ever seen the chat. Well, not anymore. And that's the thing. We're not going to disrupt this nice thing that we have here.
Yeah.
Like, we have a nice thing going. It's ridiculous that we're doing this. You know, Mike Maple says, Monty asking for a recall of the mayor. Well, I don't know. By the way, we're over 1,000 views today, and we only have 80 likes. If you guys could hit the like button, that'd be great. Arlington Bears, who was the first member on this channel, says 3.5 hours of watch time today. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Arlington. How does the Duck fan even find the Monty Show? We were talking about Oregon.
Yeah, well, he found it. She likely found it through either an Oregon search or Pac-12 Amazon deal, or there's a variety of ways.
This is why we can't have nice things, Fat Jesus says. Exactly.
Well,
exactly. Victor Rudolph Ferrer says, well, that's a first. Blocking an account on your live show. Thanks for doing it, Monty. Yeah, we never do it.
Again, I've never even heard of this account.
We never do it. Yeah. Alex Chacon says the most disruptive day in the chat belongs to Tanner and soaking. Jeez,
100%.
by a long
That's the
shot.
benchmark, dude.
By a long shot.
That is easily the benchmark.
Sussy says Monty should get Justin Herbert on the show. I've tried.
Excuse me.
Justin
Excuse
Hebert.
me. Refer to him as the sex machine, please.
Thank you, if you could. That's my dude. That is my dude.
Oh my God, just like that. Oh.
Exactly. Last comment goes to San Diego State, who says, this thing of ours, a great movie, and it's great here. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, there you go. The Monty Show presented by The Advocates, UtahAdvocates.com, or just TheAdvocates.com, depending on where you are, because they are a firm that serves many states, including Arizona and Utah. The best injury attorneys in the business, The Advocates, TheAdvocates.com. Tell me you heard about it on The Monty Show. Back tomorrow. If you want to join our exclusive membership club, we appreciate that. $10 a month. Hit the join button or DM me for a link. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.